himself a crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
It is time for the crossover on the Monday after a long weekend. It's brought to you by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha, everlowconcrete.com. You know that we are reaching. Oh, I love that Rawlings hat. Hey.
Rope hats.
Hey.
Rawlings, guys.
If you touch mine, I'll touch yours.
Whoa.
So
Rawlings hat.
I looked on the internet for a Royals 4th of July rope hat.
Yeah?
They don't have any. They have many other teams, but not the Royals.
Really?
Do the Royals hate America, or were they that popular?
I guess it was a popular one.
Okay.
That hat looked really good.
Yeah, I thought it was a sharp hat.
I bought a Braves one.
I considered buying one. I almost bought an Omaha Storm Chasers one. And I didn't have my wallet on me.
Buying
you can buy one
Braves,
tomorrow.
they'll be selling.
My rope is falling off of my rope hat, which I didn't think could happen.
Oh no.
So then it's just a
anyway. Let's continue this discussion.
In this studio, we have reached. Now we're getting close to peak off-season chatter because we're trying to figure out who ESPN is going to send to do the Nebraska-Cincinnati game.
We'll take your recommendations right now. 402-951-1620.
And by the way, the Kelseys and Mahomes will be at the game because the Chiefs. Their last preseason game is August 22nd.
Yes, I've heard Travis Kelce talk about this a lot, actually. He talks about it with Will Compton.
Yeah, because Will be there.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole big thing. So that'll be a cool sideshow. So who does ESPN send for the sideshow?
So
the
Texas, what is the ESPN game on the opening weekend? LSU Clemson?
Let's find out.
Because game day will be in Columbus. So Reese Davis and Herb Street would be there.
Saturday night is what we're looking for.
Because isn't Fowler doing the U.S. Open on that Thursday?
He should be.
Okay, so he won't.
So Saturday
night,
Saturday night, 6:30, LSU Clemson ABC.
Okay.
So
ESPN will take UTSA and Texas A&M on the opening Saturday.
So Barrett Media has a full list of the crews for ESPN. Okay.
Well, it's not. They haven't released them for this year yet.
No, I know, but this was last year's
right.
cruise. Last year's cruise. Yeah. You think they do McDonough, McElroy, McGrath?
Okay, so here's our. That's an option.
Sean McDonough likes Nebraska.
Just for reference, last year the opening Thursday on ESPN was a Colorado game.
Yeah, I don't.
So it was Mark Jones, Roddy Jones, and Quint Kesnick. Last year, the opening Friday ESPN game was Temple and Oklahoma. With Anish Shroff, Andre Ware, and Paul Carcaterra.
Oh, they are far down.
All right,
this list.
So those are some options.
How about
assuming those people are all still with ESPN? I have no idea.
So I wouldn't mind Washuz and Riddick together. I like them. I think they're very good. But then you also have Pash, Dvorak, and Taylor McGregor.
But remember, they're going to do weekend. You know, do they want to put these crews on a weekend game and a Thursday night game? They don't mind doing so with like Gus Johnson and Joel Clark.
But how many good week one games does ESPN have?
I'll tell you,
they're going to need to.
Well, because I'm talking about Saturday, Sunday, and Monday because they have Florida State, Alabama on Sunday.
Sunday is Notre Dame, Miami.
Okay.
Jeez.
And it's Virginia Tech, South Carolina, and then Monday is TCU, North Carolina.
Where is Florida State, Alabama?
Florida State. Did I say that? Did I just say Florida State, Alabama? No.
Is that their midday game?
Florida State. That is a 3:30 ABC Saturday. 2:30 ABC Saturday.
Ooh.
So it's full. It's a full slate of pretty good games.
Would you not like Dave Fleming, Brock Osweiler, and Stormy?
Stormy?
I love
Daniels.
No, I don't know her last name. She's a great sideline reporter. Stormy Butte.
Feels like a Joe Test to me.
Okay,
but he's going to be in.
Put it on the list.
He will be in France.
He called college football last year. I don't think he'll be with WWE.
You don't think he's going to be in France?
I think he'll be in France. He better be. If he's taking a spot from Corey Graves, he better be in France.
Let Corey go.
I think Corey should go. I think
go Corey.
Yeah,
I think
Joe T at Arrowhead.
BS with it, Corey.
But remember, this is also one of the rare times Nebraska's on ESPN.
That's right.
So they might want to,
pull out all the stops for Nebraska.
I think it'll be.
No, I think they will love some Nebraska.
I'll call my shot. I'll say Wischusen and Riddick will be the two announcers.
Let's
'Cause
see
I
what
don't
they
think-
did
that
week
wouldn't be
1
bad.
last year.
I don't think they're going to give Nebraska some
Last year,
the 14th best.
I bet Sean
Crew.
McDonough.
Last year, week 1, those two did the Monday Boston College Florida State game. That was a disaster for Florida State.
That was funny.
And now Boston College's
You-
quarterback
well,
plays for Florida
so
State.
you
and he
don't-
says a lot of things. He's saying so many things.
You don't think that McDonough, if they set McDonough, you don't think he's going to do the Miami Notre Dame game, or would he do the Nebraska Cincinnati game and then the Miami Notre Dame game?
McDonough.
You can do both.
He could definitely do both.
McDonough's getting well, yeah. The question is, will they put him on 2 games?
On 2 games. I mean, I'll be honest with you. After the 8th group of
We need to
of
find a
people.
good Big 12. I mean, the Big 12. Well, I guess Oklahoma was in the SEC last year. Okay.
once you get
who's
past,
in what conference?
Once you get past Matt Barry, it's
This is a good game, by
Yeah,
the way.
it
to
is.
play.
Who's in what conference? That is a great question.
It was funny. Gary goes, we were talking about Cincy and about the Big 12, and Gary goes, "Oh, I forgot Cincinnati was in the Big 12." And then he
Mhm.
brought something up about UCF, and I go, I forgot UCF was in the Big 12.
Yep.
Because Big 12 Media Days start tomorrow.
Well, yes, and
hello.
and there's I saw somebody throw out the idea that the Big 12 and ACC should just trade the bottom of their conferences. That way, it could be like
More
every
geographically,
year.
yeah.
it could be more regional or something like that. I'm like, all right,
It's not a
sweet.
bad idea.
This is a great idea. Excellent. I'm trying to look at who did some of these Big 12 games last year.
I feel like I don't know what it is. I don't know if you guys have gone through this before, but every time
Big 12 didn't open up with crap last year.
I turned on the TV, I felt like Mark Jones was announcing the game that I was watching.
Well, he was
That's
doing
correct.
Colorado every game.
Yeah. But it wasn't even I just felt like I just put on just Mark Jones, whether it be a basketball game or a football
Well,
game.
because he-
Well, try being a Sacramento King fan. 'Cause he's our TV announcer.
I
Very
could
cool.
not escape
Light the
Mark
beam!
Jones.
No, there is no escaping Mark Jones.
Hey.
Just remember when it was Mark Jones and what's his name? Old RG3.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That was
Yeah. Great
talk
times.
Talk about brutal listens.
Great
That's
times.
a brutal listen. You know who's a good analyst? Maybe people will disagree with me. I like Brock Osweiler. I think Brock Osweiler is pretty good.
Brocktober.
I enjoyed Brock.
Brock Lobster.
Weird head neck combo, but
Got a lot of money in that bank account.
Yeah.
Got a lot of money in that
It's
bank
very
account.
similar to the weird body that
Is he-
Chet Holmgren has.
Is he still doing?
Proportion
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
legs
yeah.
to the rest of the body.
He's still there. He's on this media. He was on this media list. I don't know if he's still doing it, but he did them last year. And I think he does. Doesn't he do an NFL game? Didn't he do an Brock Osweiler?
He did. He did. He was with Dave Fleming last year, and did on opening weekend TCU and Stanford.
Huh, everybody remembers that.
That's an
Knock 'em out, drag 'em.
ACC game.
Yeah.
Okay.
TCU's Big 12.
TCU's the Big 12,
Yeah,
but that's
everybody
an
remembers that.
ACC property, right? Because
Yeah,
it's an
yeah.
ACC home game.
How could you forget that ACC Big 12 challenge matchup between TCU and Stanford?
I have no idea who's
How
in
many
what
Big 12
conference.
games does Fox carry? Because Big 12 is on both.
Great question. I don't. I assume they've decided all these by now. They just haven't released the time. So ESPN for the Big 12 opening weekend, they're doing some ESPN Plus action. Looks like we got some UCF, we got some Oklahoma State on ESPN Plus. We got some Colorado on ESPN on Friday. That'll be the Mark Jones game. So I think we avoided Mark Jones this year. I think. No guarantees.
And I
Although
think
it is a quick
this is-
flight from
this is
Kansas
like-
City to Denver.
This is like when Peterson says there's not going to be any snow. You go.
We avoided,
We have
Mark,
avoided
Jones.
Mark
The Mark
Jones.
Jones is done.
I think we'll avoid Colt McCoy this year.
Oh, God.
Oh,
I think we'll avoid him.
boy. Can we please?
I'm not looking forward to when Tom Brady is announcing my team's football games.
We'll get Gary Danielson for the final time.
Ooh.
Yeah,
This is the last year.
that's right. Yeah. That's Black Friday.
We going to get Connor Onion for a couple of games?
He'll probably hop on a FS1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always like an onion game.
You like an onion game.
I'm an onion game guy.
Big game onion.
Big game onion.
How?
Maybe
What's the total on how many Nebraska games will actually be on BTN only?
Akron.
So there's one.
Maryland.
That might be the Connor Onion game, by the way.
Let's check.
Akron, Houston Christian, Maryland for sure. You could make an argument.
No,
that
Houston Christian is an FS1 joint.
Oh, okay.
Which is wild.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So Akron, there's probably Northwestern and Maryland.
How is that not an automatic BTN
I know.
game?
I would flip.
They usually put the homecoming game on BTN because it's usually a night game. Well, in this case, Nebraska's homecoming game is in the afternoon.
Yeah, and they're not gonna. I think that Michigan State game will
That could-
actually
so
be
that's-
an
that could be a
intriguing
six-
matchup.
That's the three. Michigan State is 3:00 with
Yeah.
two networks.
It's either 11 or 2:30
Okay.
or 3, depending on what network they end up on. Because FS1 does 3, not
I know.
2:30.
3:00 is kind of an odd time for a kick, but I like it. I like this staggered. Like, why don't we have games that start at noon?
Great take.
I would.
Seriously, I say go back to the days where you just started games when everyone was there.
Uh-huh.
Seriously, just start. We're all here. Let's play.
Wait. We're Dylan. Where are you, Dylan? Stop. Come here. You gotta get on the field. Stop taking pictures.
We got the guy on the field waving everybody up. Nope, TV is not back from commercial yet. TV's not back from commercial yet. Okay to go. No, I'm done with that. No more of that.
I wouldn't mind if the Penn State game's on BTN.
No,
Why?
that would mean bad things for Nebraska.
Because you don't want
I'm kidding.
Nebraska to get wrecked on national television.
Yeah, that's the joke.
Okay,
That is the fear.
let's see what else is going on.
That is a fear of
I
mine.
think BTN would be elated to have Nebraska, Penn State playing an actual game
Yeah.
against each other on there. But it has happened in the past.
Maybe it'll be Penn
That's when
State's
both
wideout.
teams were not really.
What's Penn State going to do for their wideout? Are they
That's
have that
NBC.
planned yet?
I
Night
think.
game against Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon. They did like.
Whoa!
They did like.
They're doing the wideout in September,
Yeah, because that's the only guaranteed night game.
dude. You got
Because last year they didn't really have one. Last year they wanted the Ohio State to be a night game. To be
dude.
the
No,
whiteout
that
game.
should be illegal. You got to do the wideout in November. The whiteout game needs to be in November.
But
It needs to be cold or rainy.
They don't have jurisdiction on it. Last year they got screwed. They had to do like a fake whiteout game for Illinois. They were like, "Hey, we're white kind of because we kind of want it to be for Ohio State, but I don't think we're going to get Ohio State, so we're white to this Illinois game." Is kind of what they did. But they didn't fully commit to it. They have fully committed to this one because they're like, we have to do it.
Penn State has 2 home games in November. Indiana on the 8th and Nebraska on the 22nd. Just for your calendars, for your reference. Penn State's schedule. I mean, if they're gonna win the national championship, they got to go through a little bit of they got to
play.
Doesn't Michigan go to Penn State this year?
They do not play Michigan this year.
They
do not
play
Michigan.
Oregon and Ohio State.
They play Oregon
How does
and
that
Ohio
happen?
State.
And
Michigan
Indiana.
and Penn State are not playing each other.
No Michigan and Penn State this year, but we do get Penn State Rutgers
Didn't they
protected.
Didn't they do that thing? Yeah, they did that thing where they protect certain games to make sure that you're going to have this game every single.
Correct.
I don't understand how some of these games and some of these teams weren't protected.
Well, because some of the schools don't want to play hard games because
Good point.
that's what we do these days.
We play easy.
I
games.
believe Penn State, Ohio State is protected.
It should be. God,
All right, now I'll pull up that list.
I was the only one protected for Nebraska. But then they did that little like BS thing where it's like for the next 3 seasons you'll play this team.
But you have to be on each other's list.
Yes,
Like you had to get together and
Like
say,
Tinder?
"Hey, Iowa,
exactly.
we're going to be." I think you had either had 2 or 3 teams you could.
All right, Gary.
It's like bid
protected
day.
protected matchups. Here's the list: Illinois Northwestern every year, Illinois Purdue every year. See, how did Illinois get
Why?
off that easy? Illinois got 2 idiot teams.
Hey,
Is it really a big deal for Illinois Purdue to play?
Illinois has to
it
play
is
Purdue.
not. It is not at all.
This is according to the list.
I've never heard an Illinois fan be like, "Man, if we don't beat the Boilermakers this year."
Indiana has to play Purdue every year. That makes sense. Iowa plays Minnesota, Nebraska, and Wisconsin every year. Once again, getting off easy. Maryland and Rutgers is a game every year. Michigan, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and USC. So Penn State, Rutgers is not protected by the
But
long
Penn State
law.
and Maryland is.
But Penn State and Maryland.
But did you?
No, I didn't say that, did I?
No. Did
No.
you say Penn State and Ohio State?
There is no protected Penn State games. Penn State is will go anywhere, anytime.
Were they? Nobody had them on their list.
Nobody had them.
Or
on
that
their
one
list.
girl who didn't get a sorority bid.
That's right. Well, you only joined the conference in what, 1994? You don't get any status.
Nebraska got it.
Nebraska got it because they have Iowa, and Iowa gets whatever they want, apparently.
Well, we just don't have.
Iowa's like, I need 3 games no matter what every year. I want to just keep the Big Ten West going. It's like, yeah, everyone does, but they actually got to do it.
Well, I don't think the Big Ten likes freedom because they disrespect Nebraska, Wisconsin.
They did. They absolutely respect it.
The Freedom Trophy this year is like in the closet.
No respect.
Collecting dust.
No respect.
No, you get to hold on for it for one more year.
So the Big Ten dislikes freedom but loves heroes.
That's right.
Seems kind of
interesting.
Yeah.
Contradictions.
When's the next time Nebraska plays Wisconsin? Not because it ain't this year, and it ain't next year. And
Do we even have? How far do we have?
It does not appear. Well, it is. They are back in 2027 in Camp Randall. Get your cars ready for the road trip.
Go 2 years without playing each other.
Yep.
Remember that was fun. That was a forced rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of fun for a little bit.
Yeah, Nebraska won that second regular season game with those poop jerseys on, and then they never won again until last year.
And we all thought, oh my God, things are changing. And then they choked away a game to Iowa.
Sure, when Fickle gets bad, they get off the schedule.
Seriously, when Wisconsin's good and they got all-world running backs that are going to end up being Hall of Famers, Nebraska's got to play them.
That's a great point. How we don't play these idiot Wisconsin teams.
Yeah.
Why don't we play sucky Wisconsin? Because by the time 2027 rolls around, Curt Cignetti will be the coach of Wisconsin.
Ooh,
and then we'll be playing a really good Wisconsin team.
I like that. Put that on the prediction board. Matt McMaster.
Curt
Cignetti at Wisconsin.
I think it'd make a lot of sense.
In what case?
Yeah. How?
I
show your work.
I don't know if like a lot of like traditional, like the Ohio States or the Michigans or like your blue bloods would love like for Curt Cignetti to come in and be like, oh, I'm Curt Cignetti. I win all these games, whatever.
True.
It would veer away from tradition. But I think Wisconsin, after the Fickle experiment, would be desperate enough to say, hey, we are like a known program and we're bigger than Indiana and we have more history than Indiana.
What if Indiana goes like 4-8 this year?
I don't think that's going to happen.
You don't think so?
I think Indiana's going to win 10
D-Rock
games.
better have a good win.
I think Indiana's going to win 10 games this year.
Whoa. Hello.
Yeah.
Mr. Indiana.
I think they'll lose to Oregon.
So that puts them in the playoff.
Yeah. They'll lose to Oregon and they'll lose to Penn State. They'll win 10 games this year. They only got one challenging game outside of those 2 games. That's against Illinois. That's Illinois. They're home against Illinois. Outside of that, their schedule's pretty easy.
All right, let's go take a look.
They got Elijah Surratt back. I think they're going to win 10 games. I'm confident. I'm going to bet they're over. Their over's 8.5.
All right, their non-con is very difficult. Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State.
They're actually going to play all 3 on the same day.
Holy crap! Illinois, Iowa, Oregon, Michigan State, UCLA, at Maryland, at Penn State, Wisconsin, and Purdue. That is not a 10-win schedule, folks.
Yes, it is.
8 and 4 max.
No, God, no. Win, loss. Win, loss. Win. That's easy.
That's a lot of wins.
Where are the
You're
two?
A big, what's his name? Fernando Mendoza?
Yeah, he had 16. He completed 69% of his passes last year against a terrible line. With a terrible line in Cal, Indiana invest in the offensive line.
But that was in the ACC.
They had a good O-line last year. They're going to have a really good O-line this year. They returned multiple all Big Ten guys on the defensive end and on the offensive end, and they were able to run the ball by committee with ease last year with a really good team. They haven't even reloaded. They brought back great players, and then they got more good players.
Wow.
This is the only thing that will screw me up is if they lose to Illinois. But outside of that, they're not losing to Michigan State or UCLA or Maryland or Wisconsin or Purdue.
What about Iowa?
That's a trap game. That'll be tough.
Going to Kinnick? Watch out.
They got 2 games. You got to beat Iowa, and you have to beat Iowa, and you have to beat Illinois. And I think they can beat both of them. It'll be a tough game. Elijah Surratt is going to be
that dude is
a draft pick.
He's
and Fernando Mendoza couldn't end up being the best quarterback in the Big Ten.
I can't wait to talk about Indiana and how I don't believe in them every week again this year.
I believe in Indiana way more than I believe in Illinois.
I don't really believe in either. I'm not an Indiana or Illinois truther.
Are you a truther?
Are you just going against the narrative, or are you?
No. If I told you what, like,
why aren't you?
If I said that both of those teams don't make the playoff, would you?
You want to make that bet?
Sure.
Let's bet.
Indiana and Illinois, neither of them make the playoff.
Okay, I'll make that bet with you. And if one of them makes it, then I win.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Lunch. Done.
A lunch.
Shake
bet.
on
We are the witnesses, Josh.
Mhm.
Write it down.
It's an important roll.
We'll never remember this. All right. I'll write it in the calendar
Well,
somewhere.
Matt will remember it if he wins.
And if I lose,
We're gonna have
Josh,
to pay this off
I've
until
honored the bets that
December.
I've lost.
Yeah, I know. This is great. Let's see. Bet with Matt. Indiana and Illinois
One of them will make the playoff.
will not make the playoff. If one makes it,
You don't need
Matt
to go
wins.
in detail.
If none make it, Connor wins.
Are you putting this on an actual calendar?
No, it's just on a note.
Oh.
It's on a note. You should see my notes. They are a disaster. There's so many things in here.
I have about 37 notes that are labeled note in my notes.
That's funny.
Go through, just look, it all says notes.
Here's one that I made on May 24th that says UConn at the Big East tournament, and then there's no more words. I started a note.
I have my own NFL mock draft, my own top 10 in here. I got none of them right. Others outside of Cam Ward.
Here's the lyrics to a parody song that I wrote.
Nebraska missed the Big Ten
Could
tournament.
you sing it?
Yeah, it was Nebraska missed the Big Ten tournament.
People forget.
I have a note.
They did. That was basketball.
I have a note in here labeled Sean Eichhorst.
Ooh. I saw him in a picture with Arch Manning recently. They used a picture of Arch Manning, and Sean Eichhorst was just standing right next to him. I was like, wow, he's still there.
He is.
What's
He
doing?
He actually oversees football.
Doing the finances?
He has a back office and he oversees football.
Here's one called Screen Tracker. I made this on October 27th. I don't know what game this was, but I tracked, looks like about 10 screens during the game, and to little success. Third quarter, 3 minutes and 22 seconds left. Barney, quick screen to the left. It's blocked, and it works. 10 yards. I don't know what I used that for.
I have fresh bodies is a note in my
Fresh bodies.
and it just says don't lose the momentum. That's the only sentence written there.
I have July 19th and I have no idea what's going on July 19th.
July 19th.
I wrote that
It's a
note
that says
on
July 19th.
the 9th of December.
July 19th.
All right, so I'll expect something here in a couple of weeks when somebody goes, "Hey, are you still?"
That's next Saturday. Yes, next Saturday.
Yes.
We're gonna be on the air.
I think it is a golf outing
Okay.
out in Gothenburg.
All right.
It's gonna be
I think
July.
that's what
Have
it
a
is.
good trip.
It'll be the morning.
Maybe.
It'll be the morning show, and Gary's like, "It's July 19th, and nothing has occurred. I
You-
don't know what's going on."
You might want to make a call on that.
imagine mariachi band just walks in here.
Well, so I used to do this. I used to put people's phone numbers, just the phone numbers in notes. Like, hey, can you just give me your number? Instead of like dialing it.
Yeah,
and
there's
then
a whole
calling-
contact section for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a few people that I just have numbers. I don't have names.
So you're going to wait for them to text you.
So one of them was a coach, and I just wanted to check. So I actually called it, and they answered. I was like, "Hey, coach, how you doing?"
What sport?
Football. Yeah.
Hmm.
So then it went into the context.
Kirk Ferentz.
No. I don't have. We always have to go through her secretary, Mary.
I don't know Kirk's
Did you?
secretary.
I told young Matt this earlier. You guys realize that that'll be Kirk's last game in Lincoln? Black Friday.
No, he'll never retire.
I think he's done this year.
He can't leave. He's not. He won't allow
Is that
himself.
is you saying that, or is an Iowa fan saying that?
No, Well, if you don't want Iowa to be good, you want him to leave.
Yeah, please go. But then the problem,
I want him to stay because I appreciate his just we're going to be so bad at offense. We're going to be even worse at offense, and we're still going to win 9 games. Like, I appreciate that.
you like the commitment to the bit.
Yeah, I do. I really appreciate it.
If there's anything that you love more than anything, it's people who commit to their bits.
Seriously. My guy just
So-
wins games. I don't know how he
Okay,
does it.
so-
it is incredible how much they've tried to solve the offense that have never been able to do it.
No,
Now-
hey, we got this Gronowski guy. He's not going to be any good.
No, they don't
Yeah,
have the
but
running
Tim
back.
Lester was a good hire. They were much better offensively last year, like in terms of looking like dynamic.
Hey, Caleb Johnson.
Well, when Sullivan was playing, so he was a Northwestern transfer, and they doubled down on the.
I
run.
know.
They look good. What? I'm just telling you the origin of which the guy came from, and he was a talented quarterback, and they kicked the crap out of Wisconsin.
So how about this? Kirk is going to leave as the all-time winningest coach in the Big Ten, but would you put him in the top 5 all-time coaches of Big Ten football?
No.
So he'll pass
It was
Woody
a quick
Hayes.
no, Josh. It was a
So
quick
Woody
no.
Hayes is on that list.
Mhm.
So he's going to pass him.
Urban. It was a
Urban
short.
Bowe.
Lloyd Carr.
This is a stupid.
I mean, you're
this
getting
is a stupid one.
Would you
Paterno.
put Jim? Yeah, Paterno is on that list.
Paterno's on that list.
Would you put Jim Tressel?
I don't know. These are all options.
Okay,
Joe Tiller,
So he's not in the top.
Barry Alvarez?
Barry Alvarez,
He's not in the top 5, but where would Franklin be in that?
James, the guy that they want to fire every year, except for this one.
I think he's got to be pretty damn close. All the guy does is win 10 and 11 games every year.
Don't you have to win games that matter?
See, if he wins a national championship, I think you can make an argument that he's for sure in the top 10.
They have built for this year.
We have forgotten about Amos Alonzo Stagg, who Kirk Ferentz will not catch.
Where'd
this
he
year.
go to?
As at the University of
coach?
Chicago from 1896 to 1932. He was there 37 years.
They were a Big Ten school at the time.
Yeah, 232
They were.
wins.
A lot of people forget
Kirk Ferentz.
the fighting.
So the top-
atomic bomb.
So the top Amos Alonzo Stagg names on the list: Woody Hayes, Kirk Ferentz, Bo Schembechler, Joe Paterno, Hayden Fry,
Ooh.
Henry Williams, Minnesota, but we're not counting anything that happened in the 20s, right?
God no.
No.
Unless it's baseball, then we really count
at what
it,
point do
and
we
we
start
really
counting?
care about it.
Do we count like after the war, after the Second World War, or do we count like do we start in the 60s?
Let's start in the 60s.
Okay, all right. So the list goes Woody Hayes, Kirk Ferentz, Bo Schembechler, Joe Paterno, Hayden Fry, Lloyd Carr, Barry Alvarez, Mark D'Antonio.
Solid Big
Mark
Ten coach.
D'Antonio.
He put Michigan State on the map after a downtime.
Wow, John Cooper. Those are the dark ages for Ohio State. Pat Fitzgerald. Your guy, Matt.
You know Dennis Green.
See what happens to Fitz. I don't know if he wants to get back into coaching or not.
Duffy Doherty. Jim Tressel.
Seems like he does. He did a
James
hell of a
Franklin.
job he's been coaching at Loyola Academy.
Brett
Been doing a
Bielema.
great job.
Jim Harbaugh.
See, this would be a good way to trigger Big Ten, like long-time Big Ten.
Where's
If you bring
Harbaugh?
like the new schools into it and start having a discussion.
This would be a great one of those fake college football Twitter accounts.
Yes.
Oh
List.
my God! Yeah,
Yeah.
the list.
People would be so angry. Just put all the Ohio State
Put
coaches on
Jim
there.
Harbaugh in the top 10 and get people really going. That's how you would trigger
Tom
him.
Osborne would be either 1 or 2.
Ryan Day, put Ryan Day at like number 2 or something like
Yeah, put Lincoln Riley like a 10th.
How about Glenn Mason? Any love for Glenn Mason? Paul Christ
No love.
on this list? No.
Paul Chris maybe.
How about PJ Fleck? He's getting up there.
Not
What is
right
his
now.
overall record at Minnesota?
Overall?
I think it's 80. I think his
wow, if you could
lifetime-
get anywhere close.
His lifetime record is 88 and 61.
Oh my God, you're right. How did you know that?
Because I looked it up like a couple hours
88 and 61 all time.
Yeah.
58 and 39 at
Oh.
Minnesota.
Because we're having a discussion.
ago. Gary was like, "When did you look up PJ Fleck?"
So PJ Fleck won 5 his first year, won 7, and then 19 won 11.
Yeah.
5-7-11, baby.
5-7-11.
Put on a T-shirt.
But after the COVID year,
Yeah.
9, 6, 8. All bowl wins.
See,
Bowl wins in each of the last 4 years for the Ghosts.
so it's really 8 and 7.
No,
8 regular season wins, 7 regular season wins.
yes, 8, 8, 5, and
Yeah,
7.
and 7.
But
We're just,
bowl wins count, folks. Bowl wins count.
very tentatively.
Do you know in the last 6 seasons, I guess not counting 2020, Minnesota has gone to and won a bowl
See,
game
okay.
in each of those
Yeah.
seasons.
Okay. Would you rather go 8-4 in the regular season and lose the bowl game, or go 7-5 in the regular season and win the bowl game?
7-5 would win the bowl game.
Really? I
Yeah.
would much rather go 8-4 in the regular season and lose a bowl game than go 7-5. If you were to go 8-4,
this could be a real life problem that we run into.
This is because we're gonna have people if they go 7-5 this year and then they win the bowl game against some crappy ACC team, they're gonna be like, oh, we won 8 games. It was an 8-win season. Hell of a super successful. But if they go 8-4, that means they beat way more high quality opponents than like playing Stanford in the go get 'em tax slayer bowl or whatever.
The go get 'em.
Life was so much easier when Nebraska just won 9.
Yeah,
I know. Then we could decide after that if it was 10 or 9 or 8.
You're either going to be 9-3 or 9-4.
Yep.
I've never lived in a time where either football team that I cared about was consistently good.
That's okay.
I have never lived in a moment. I have only experienced a back-to-back winning season in football once in my life.
Where's Big 12 Media Days at? Texas again?
Yeah, got to be Texas.
At the Star?
Got to be Texas. Wow. Football. It's coming, folks.
You mean you didn't spend your weekend with your highlighter going through your Phil Steele?
I didn't think about football once all weekend.
How did you not?
Except for when I saw that Gus Johnson clip, and it was the game that they played at LSU's field after Katrina. And I was like, oh, Gus.
I thought about football a lot this weekend. These are all my magazines.
You're crazy.
And I'm reading.
Crazy. You got time. You got plenty of time.
Oh, I should have picked you up a Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life magazine. I forgot to do that for you.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I just remembered. I'm the commissioner of my fantasy football league. I should probably do something about that.
You haven't done it? I literally got bombarded yesterday with a bunch of group chats about our fantasy football league.
That's why I hate being the commissioner. Don't talk to me.
The voice of the Omaha Supernovas is commissioner in the league I'm in, and he's awful at it.
Nice.
It's great. There's nothing more that I enjoy than making fun of my fantasy football commissioner. I love making their life a living hell.
So, are you more Greg Sankey or Tony Petitti as the commissioner of your fantasy?
If he's not doing anything, he's Petitti.
I let the narratives run me instead of controlling the narrative.
So you're Kevin Warren?
Yeah. I'm Petitti. Petitti goes on the podcast with Joel Klatt. He's like, whatever.
He did. When Klatt started suggesting stuff, he's like,
okay, I'm open to ideas. I love ideas. That's me as a commissioner of my fantasy football league.
Yeah, we can.
I love ideas.
We can get rid of tight ends. Who cares? They bore me anyway.
Yeah, sure. You guys want to go half point PPR?
Yeah.
No?
You want to do a 1.5 PPR? How about we just get rid of running backs? No running backs this year.
What do you think? All right.
Just throwing ideas, guys.
Have a good one. See you guys. That's the crossover. Powered by Every Level Concrete Repair in Omaha at everylevelconcrete.com. It's Monday. We'll start things off next.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone. It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, welcome in Monday on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you. You can find us this week reacting viscerally to tennis. I heard it lasts a fortnight.
It does.
And we learn what a fortnight is on This Week every year. Welcome to Wimbledon. I saw a video of Chris Fowler. He was broadcasting from a little bunker courtside at Wimbledon. Tiny, you can't even stand up in there. You just sit him in there.
Really?
And now, starting today, he will be on many of your children's television screen because today, if you pre-ordered the game, the college football video game is here.
Oh,
yes.
Congrats to you guys.
Definitely congrats to me. I'm excited about it.
Okay.
I've seen it looks like they made some pretty good improvements. I'm excited. And that's how I'll be spending a lot of my evenings over the next several weeks before football starts.
Okay. Do you know are you going to keep the dynasty the same, or are you going to do something different?
We're in the selection process.
Okay.
Of the teams right now. I'm not sure. I'll report back, tell you which team I'm going to be in, which team. I usually, go to the playoff a few times and then dip out after about 4 or 5 years, something like that. Go through one full cycle of recruits. Start that quarterback for 3 or 4 consecutive years and then leave, go to some other school somewhere.
Suck up all the resources.
And then just leave them in the dust.
Yeah.
That's the plan. A
lot of people are doing that.
So welcome to the show, everybody. Hope you had a nice, safe, happy 4th of July weekend. Everybody's limbs intact. Didn't hear much about people blowing their fingers off this weekend, so that's good.
I did see on Omaha Scanner a 19-year-old.
Ooh. Fingers?
Yeah.
Man. I see the video every year of when they shot off all those fireworks at the same time in San Diego. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
They blew it was like a 20-minute fireworks show and they blew them all off at the same time. I think that's a great idea. I think they should do that. I think that should be a scheduled thing.
Okay. Not an accident.
So I was at Warner Park on Friday night for their lovely, lovely fireworks show, and it was a 20-plus minute long deal. It was great. Excellent night out at the ballpark. But the whole time I was thinking, what if they shot all those off at the exact same time? The fireball in the sky. And then I was also thinking, you would see some airplanes come through every now and then. Have you ever flown on the 4th of July?
I haven't.
I think I did on the 3rd of July one time. It was really cool. You get to see all the fireworks from above.
Yeah.
And you get the front row seat to every single fireworks show in the city when you come in.
I have found the tweet. Caller says a 19-year-old male had a firework go off in his hand, lost half a digit.
Half a digit. All right. Well, he's still got the other half. All right. Today on the show, Mike Schaefer will join coming up at 11:30. No Sam this week as he continues his vacation. So we'll talk to him again next week as we fire things up. But Schaefer is our guest. That is the lineup powered by the Rivalries at John Higgins Weather Guard. Want to hear from you all today. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flyer Casino Zone hotline. You can call our text set number. Tweet at Happer Show at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor or Josh O at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers this morning. J-Man writes in, poll question, is women's tennis the godmother of the sports grunt? That is a great question. They have some questionable grunts. I will say that.
Yeah, you got to mute that TV.
Yeah, it's odd. It's I would say it's just full on distracting.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say that it was almost distracting, but it's full on distracting. What do the phone callers want to know today, Josh? Okay, this will be good.
Amazon Business would like to get in touch with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What'd you tell them?
I told them that Josh wasn't here.
They were specifically asking for you?
Yes.
And they called that phone number?
They did.
Wow. And you told him no.
I said Josh isn't here.
Okay. Now Josh isn't here right now. I'll call you back later.
Josh gets here at 2.
Elsewhere on the show, Josh Peterson.
No, she was calling for me, I assume.
Okay. I don't think
really. I'm the director of audio.
You are the director of audio.
I'm sure my name.
They
is
were like,
"Can I?"
So they were like, "Can I speak to the boss?" And you were like, "Yeah, I'm the boss, but I don't want to talk to you."
Yeah, but she said Josh specifically.
Interesting.
Oh.
Your name must be listed somewhere, Josh.
Somewhere with Amazon.
I learned that this weekend. If you start asking the internet about things like, say, how much could I potentially sell my car for if I wanted to sell my car? You're immediately put on some sort of list, and all of the dealerships immediately begin to text you. Like, seriously, it was within seconds. Whoa. I hit yes on the Kelley Blue Book thing.
Oh.
And it was like I got 6 of them.
No cookies.
Yeah. Like I just wanted to know, okay? I'm not actually interested in doing it. I just wanted to know what it was worth. Elsewhere today on the show, we have many things that we're going to check in on. Matt Rhule.
Matt Rhule,
what's he doing? He's checking out the Savannah Bananas.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's right. Also, speaking of coaches doing things, Hugh Freeze playing a lot of golf. People were not happy about that. We'll discuss that today on the show.
Okay.
Thank you to Gen Z, who's created something truly special and advantageous to society. We'll tell you what that is.
Thank you.
Later on. A couple of great ESPN moments from over the weekend. What's ESPN doing these days? Well, every time ESPN does anything, people yell at them now, and it's kind of interesting.
It's really weird.
Urban Meyer has been asked, apparently, if he wants to be some school's general manager, and he said, quote, "I'd rather step on a rusty nail and pull it out myself." Nice take by Urban Meyer.
Appreciate that.
Discuss that. Nebraska loses Darien Jones to Iowa. This has certainly ruffled some feathers over the weekend whenever something like that happens. Tom, hope you enjoyed Thomas Fidoni's garage sale.
Shh, don't talk about it.
College football rivalries. And I have to put out my yearly PSA for USA Soccer.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Important.
Just a note for the people who follow USA Soccer for some reason. I love America, Josh. It's a very patriotic weekend.
I know that about you.
But people just are really trying to make this happen, and it ain't happening. It ain't happening. And yes, I know we host the World Cup next summer, and it's not going to be pretty.
We're the host of it, though.
It's not going. Luckily, the host gets in.
Yes.
Because otherwise, we'd be in some deep trouble. Deep trouble. All right, that's set up for today's show. We are pleased that you are with us. Come along for the ride. We're going to try and work a full week this week. Tomorrow, we'll be at Werner Park.
People forget.
As we, I think we'll be there once a month for the rest of the season, July, August, September.
Whoa.
So come check us out for probably Tuesday day games, I think, all the way throughout the rest of the season. And yeah, I think I'm going to avoid the sickness this week. Okay. And that's the plan anyway. We're going to be here. No topic alert shows. It's just going to be very cool, very normal.
We're grinding. You're not going to stay home and play that video game.
No, I'm just going to play the video game on my own time and then, budget my time in an appropriate manner. Like an adult. Josh, I have a child.
Yeah.
I'm an adult.
People know that about you, that you have a child.
Yeah, you could play games and still get things done.
Yeah, your kid goes to bed at like 7:30.
That's true. All right, we're off and running here on a Monday. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
The Connor Happer Show.
Who's pitching tonight?
You Darvish, having a great year.
The Connor Happer Show.
I know about that guy.
On 1620 The Zone.
What a mess.
glad we're back to the old generic bump music.
I didn't get it flipped over in
that
time.
That was short-lived.
I was grooving to Kendrick.
Great question from Alex and Lincoln.
Hi, Alex.
Can we get Josh's thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth? Well, let me ask him. Josh?
Yes, Connor.
What are your thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth, which I believe was a movie you watched multiple times this weekend?
I did. I went to see it by myself, and then I went to see it with my family.
That was good.
Family.
My family. Good job by you going the first time by yourself, as to not get get distracted by things.
Well, it was a good thing because my kid had to go to the bathroom 3 times during the movie. I would have missed things.
Seriously.
And I had to make sure it wasn't too scary for him.
And then your kid wanted to see it again, right?
He does now. Yes, want to see it again.
So the odds are that you're going to see Jurassic Rebirth a third time in the movie theaters are high.
Yeah, pretty high.
Thoughts?
I liked it. It was good, dumb fun.
Were they rebirthed? Were they reborn?
The franchise has been reborn. Yes,
really?
Yes.
So now we can expect more movies coming off of this?
Absolutely. It made like $300 million worldwide.
Who's in here? Chris Pratt?
No, he's not in it anymore. Scarlett Johansson, who this weekend became the highest grossing actor in movie history.
I saw there was some discourse about ScarJo this weekend.
There was.
What's going on? People are hating?
Yeah, people who have never touched a female breast really hate her.
Wow. What? Wow. You think that there's a correlation there, Josh?
I do, Connor.
Wow. Why do they not like her?
Because
she's only in stuff because she's hot.
The common thought I saw was, I've never wanted to see anything she's in. She's just happened to be in the things I wanted to see.
Okay, hang on. Let me evaluate that real quick. That might, without really thinking about it, that might be true. That doesn't mean that I dislike her.
Right.
That doesn't have to mean that I am not interested in seeing the things that she's in. But that actually might be true.
She overtook Samuel L. Jackson over the weekend.
Like, what's the quintessential ScarJo movie?
Probably an Avengers movie, right?
Yeah, but it's never been about her.
I mean, maybe Black Widow.
She never even got her own movie, did she?
She got Black Widow.
Okay.
Came out during COVID, so did it really happen?
No. Let me just say that I'm Team ScarJo. I like her. I think she's funny.
But
I like this whole Colin Jost thing that's going on right now.
Her marriage.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
That's good. And I can't really think of probably more than like 4 things she's in.
Oh, okay.
Which is amazing because she's she's been in the most movies ever or something.
She's the highest grossing actress in movie history.
So you get all of this. If you're ScarJo, you get all the Marvel movies that you show up in like 2 scenes for accredited, attributed to you.
That's right.
It's just all the money added up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good way to go about it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's a good way to up that total.
Scarlett Johansson.
2-time Oscar nominee.
2-time Oscar nominee.
That's right.
Oh, I've heard a lot of things about this new Wes Anderson movie that's coming out. She's in there.
She usually appears in a Wes Anderson movie, yeah.
Yeah,
she's good for it.
Phoenician Scheme.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard some things about this. All right. Well, I did not dive into the discourse on ScarJo, but
good. I mean, she was in We Bought a Zoo, famously.
We Bought a Zoo. I saw that movie.
You did.
Yeah.
See, you got to talk. You got to relate it to things Connor knows.
You really know. Like, if you were to just guess, if I were to just give you a list of movies and you were to say, yeah, I think you've seen that, or no, you haven't seen that, you would probably be like 86% correct.
She was in Home Alone 3.
Did not see that.
You didn't need to.
Did not see that. Let's see. Andy says, I thought it sucked and I wanted to leave 5 minutes in. Andy tried to pull a Trouble with the Curve on Jurassic World Rebirth.
I don't begrudge anyone who thought that it was not a good movie. I'm not the person to objectively review a dinosaur movie.
I'm glad that you just know what things are. You know what things are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Nobody's out here arguing for an Oscar on Jurassic World Rebirth.
No.
Or they shouldn't be anyway.
Sit
but
down,
that doesn't mean it shouldn't exist.
Shut up, turn your watch off, and eat some popcorn.
Josh is here for art.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen. From the text line, Venmo Chris.
Hi, Venmo Chris.
ScarJo, I'd say most known for Avengers. Best Marriage Story. That was a solid film. Never heard of that.
She was nominated for an Oscar. It was about a marriage falling apart. She was married to Adam Driver.
People are saying things about Jojo Rabbit.
The Underhits.
Really? Is that what that's about?
It's Mr. H adjacent.
Whoa. Yikes.
Let's see. Let's get a proper description. A young German boy in the Hitler Youth, whose hero and imaginary friend is the country's dictator, is shocked to discover that his mother is hiding a Jewish girl in their home.
All right. So speaking of movies, I watched 2 movies over the weekend.
Whoa!
2 movies.
2
movies.
Okay.
Both movies I had seen before. One I hadn't seen in a really, really, really long time and remembered almost nothing about it. And another was just like, it's just like a comfort. I love this movie. And they're very much in the same category of movies. And I don't know how I got my wife on, we need to, I just said, I wanted to watch a funny movie that was like very early 2000s. You know?
We had talked about that a lot last week. Yeah.
So the 2 movies that we settled in on were, I texted you about one of them, Euro Trip.
Oh yes,
which was the second of the 2, which was very memorable. But there's also things that you don't remember. I forgot that the since passed Michelle Trachtenberg, she made out with her supposed brother in that movie, and that was unsettling.
Her character's
brother?
Her
character's brother.
Okay.
It was still unsettling, Josh.
Well, there's a lot of things in Euro Trip that are unsettling.
Yeah, but not that kind of unsettling.
Okay.
That's pretty unsettling. For me anyway, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what people have got going on. The other one was Road Trip. When's the last time you seen Road Trip?
Oh,
and then I went down a deep rabbit hole on the guy from that movie who I would never be able to remember his name, but it was him and and Amy Smart, same 2 duo in Rat Race. So the whole movie just reminded me of Rat Race.
Brecken Meyer from Clueless.
He was only in Road Trip, Clueless, and Rat Race, as far as I'm concerned.
It can't possibly
that movie. So Road Trip is not good. That movie's like barely even watchable.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is not the way I remember it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure if I went back and watched it, I'd go, oh, yeah, I see why 20-year-old Josh liked this movie.
This isn't it was not funny.
Okay.
It was, and I tried to get in. Yeah, I tried to get into okay, it wasn't the fact that they made crude jokes because it was a different time. Like you got Stifler in there making homosexual jokes all the time. Like that stuff is kind of funny, but the movie itself was not funny.
Okay.
Really, it wasn't.
I remember 3 things about that movie. I remember Amy Smart.
Yeah.
I remember
Amy Smart rules.
Tom Green.
Weird. Super weird. Tried to feed the snake with the mouse. Basically the entire movie.
They use it at UNO hockey games.
Oh, okay.
And the Boston Austin thing.
Yes. He told Amy Smart to go to Boston, but he meant Austin. And they robbed a blind school for a bus.
Oh, and DJ Qualls ends up with that woman.
DJ Qualls ends up with that woman.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, from the fraternity house. Yes. From the fraternity party. That's right.
Those are the things I remember from Road Trip.
It wasn't that good.
Oh, no.
I didn't really enjoy it.
Huh.
That's what I did this weekend.
Euro Trip is aged better than Road Trip?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 100%.
Wow.
And that's my movie. That's our movie segment. Good job, everyone.
Good segment.
Good segment. Bamon says Road Trip was trash. It was, but it got mixed in with all the other, it got mixed in with the Euro Trip and the, what's the one with Will Ferrell with the house party and the whatever.
Old School?
Yeah, Old School. It got mixed in during that time. It's just like, oh yeah, Road Trip. I like Road Trip. You don't like Road Trip. Road Trip's not good.
Interesting.
A lot of Stifler, though.
That movie made $120 million at the box office.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
For that time in that movie. Probably took about $4 to make.
16 million apparently.
Yep. All right. Now we'll talk some sports. I promise.
I don't know.
Actually, I don't promise. But we'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, so happy College Football 26 release day to those who celebrate, or for those who got the pre-order. I guess the rest of yous will have to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, you poor people.
But it seems like every college football Twitter account has tweeted out like the same video. The wait is over. Bring glory home. Now, I think do all the part of the settlement was like all the players, do they all get free copies to the game or something like that now?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the schools are like directly intertwined with the college football video game now. Nebraska just tweeted out a 1:15 long hype video using clips from the game. They talk about the light show. There's a drone show, and a lot of people doing like first down, during.
Sipple loves that.
Honestly, Sipple does love that, and honestly, it kind of fired me up. Sorry.
Yeah, I was ready for you to make some sort of sarcastic quip afterwards, and then you were like, You know what? That worked for me.
Yeah, it did. I can't really explain it, but it did. It worked for me.
I'm happy for everyone who's happy today.
Are you? You seem mildly annoyed by the conversation.
This has been a normal video game cycle where hey, it's coming.
Yes.
Okay, we're ready. Okay, it's here.
There won't be.
Last year was
rough.
rough.
There will be probably not as much conversation when the college basketball video game comes out in 2 or 3 years, whatever it ends up being.
That's a backyard baseball situation. Ain't nobody playing that.
It probably won't get covered on a professional basis by everyone in the media. But we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. But it's out noon Eastern, I guess. So you just have to be an adult still and budget your time correctly. Good luck to everybody out there. Speaking of things that happened this weekend in Nebraska football, boy, here's the conversation. Nebraska losing another in-state recruit. This one they actually went after and wanted. So much so his brother plays for the team.
Oh, well, this should be a slam dunk then.
It was not.
Oh.
He's at Iowa now. He's committed to Iowa anyway.
Oh, wow.
So this got some people riled up this weekend. Iowa fans very much enjoy rage baiting Nebraska fans. I think Creighton fans probably enjoy rage baiting Nebraska fans as well.
It's so easy.
It works. Many take the bait. Many take the bait every single time. But sometimes this is going to happen when if you pull up a list of the top 2026 recruits in the state of Nebraska, here are the places that they are committed to in order via 24/7 Sport. This is just their ranking. This is not my ranking. These are the top 16 players in the state. They're the only 16 players ranked in the state.
The state of Nebraska.
The state of Nebraska that play high school football in the state of Nebraska as ranked by 24/7 Sports, and the places they are committed to. Alabama, Iowa, in order. Iowa State, Northwestern, Iowa State, Missouri, Iowa State, Washington State, Nebraska, Fresno State, Illinois, Fresno State. That's right. Fresno State is killing Nebraska in recruiting on Nebraska's prospects. Your takes?
Whoa. What the hell's going on over there?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. And we could try to rationalize it all we want. But I do think there's some legitimacy to the topic, right?
Also, go Clones.
I mean, there's only a couple of these guys that Nebraska felt they wanted and needed to pursue and had room for and checked all the boxes and all those different things. So that context is important to the conversation. But I think we could all admit, no matter how much of a Husker homer you are, no matter how much you're like, hey, look, man, Nebraska did, this is what they do. It's definitely still weird to look at that list of 16 players and only see one of them committed to the University of Nebraska and have 6 of them committed to Iowa State and one of them to Alabama and one of them to Iowa and one of them to Missouri and 2 of them to Illinois, right? It's odd at the very least. So what do we make of this? I don't know, man. It really is a case-by-case basis. We don't have to overreact. We're going to talk to Schaefer about it in a couple minutes and break the whole thing down. This is not a new conversation. We've kind of known that it was going to go this way for, a long time. When you pull this list at the end of the year, there's going to be 1 or 2 guys that are going to be at Nebraska and the rest of them are going to be at Iowa State or Iowa or I guess, Alabama. They got a quarterback from the state. So I do think it's worth a conversation. I saw a lot of Nebraska fans over the weekend just move on. Nothing to see here. But we can all admit it makes it a little bit more frustrating, especially when Nebraska goes after a prospect. And, I don't know all the intimate details on the Darien Jones recruitment, but we're talking about a guy who, yes, there's always been some Iowa blood there, but his brother goes to Nebraska. Nebraska is pursuing. They would have taken him in the class down in the final 2, and he chooses to go to Iowa.
His brother should theoretically be saying how great it is here. Like, hey, I'll tell you how it really is.
Yeah.
Aside from the recruiting pitch.
I did see some video of Donovan Jones, who afterwards, he tried to he was like, no, man, no, did that whole thing. It was a great show. All that stuff. So what do we do with this information? Do we freak out? Do we continue to get rage baited by Iowa fans? Or do we just move on with our lives and hope and pray that Nebraska wins? We don't have to rationalize everything Nebraska does. Would I prefer it if Nebraska had the ability in their mind to go after and retain in-state prospects? Sure. Is it also, the side note is the other thing that we follow in the state is the individual journeys of these in-state recruits, right? We had it in basketball several years ago where, all those guys, Chucky and Hunter Salas and whatever, none of those guys end up at Nebraska. They end up at other places. And look at them now. They had good careers. And I don't think Frankie Fiddler goes from Omaha and he goes to Michigan State. And I don't know if that rubbed people the wrong way. They kind of sort of understood that, I suppose. But, it is the other side of this is from the high school thing, which is, it is cool in my mind that you can literally say now, if you are a football player, a basketball player in the Omaha metro area, number one, you will be seen. And number two, you will be recruited by whoever wants to recruit you. And that's all you want at the end of the day. You want to go somewhere where you're valued and you are welcomed into the family and you are, maybe paid, the requisite amount in this rev share, whatever it might be. You want to go somewhere where you're valued. And Nebraska, not to say that they don't value these players, but they made their evaluations and decided to not pursue many of these in-state recruits. It has multiple effects. No, Nebraska is not getting them. No, Nebraska is not going. Maybe they get them on the second time back or something like that. They develop good relationships over time, and then they transfer back to Nebraska. But it is undoubtedly good for the high schools and good for the state that the door is kind of open, right? It's a much different time than it was 10 or 15 years ago. I think 10 or 15 years ago, that door was closed. If there was 16 3-star plus ranked prospects in the state of Nebraska 14, 15 years ago, whatever it might be, there's a lot of schools that probably aren't they aren't coming in to really try that much. Maybe they'll dip their toe in the water and they'll grab one or two, but that door was generally closed. Nebraska had it closed. It was like, yeah, we're going to bring these guys in. We'll take you. Nebraska does not have the flexibility or the ability to take every single one of them now. And other schools are deeming that they can, and they are good enough to play at their place, and they do fit what they want. And so they are saying, you're still on our list. Why don't you come here? And they go to the places where they're kind of valued. Does that make sense? I mean, I think we could really see both sides of this thing. We don't have to we don't have to rigorously defend Nebraska's move at every single turn. Like I said, I think it's odd. When you look at that list and you see that there's only one Nebraska commit on the list.
And 2 Fresno State commits.
And 2 Fresno State and 6 Iowa States and 1 Alabama and 1 Iowa.
Some reaction from the YouTube chat.
Yeah, let's go.
Captain, who knows where those players will be in 2 years?
Who knows where those players will be in 2 years?
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Bad Takes Doug. All those dudes.
Oh, is this about Creighton?
Really, Nebraska wants different viewpoint, which is how you opened the segment.
Are all those dudes really Nebraska wants? No.
Yeah.
No. To the point from before, for sure. No. No. Nebraska did not go 1 for 16 on the entire state because they didn't pursue all of these players. That is an important contextual point to put into this thing. No matter how much you're rage baited by Iowa fans and saying, you went to, look at all these top prospects in the state of Nebraska. They don't want to go there anymore. I think with that being said, though, there is a kernel of truth to it. Like I said, the door is open. The door is ajar for other schools to come in and say, look, man, we like the talent here. We're familiar with the coaches. We're familiar with the high schools. Chances are, if you're a school around here in the Midwest, you have had a player from Omaha or Lincoln or whatever that has gone to your school and had success. So there's proof of performance now. Everywhere is going to give you a great opportunity to, have a great college experience. It's not just Nebraska athletes that are treated well these days. It's everyone. There's a lot of great facilities. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of great coaches around the country. So they can all sell that with the proof of performance behind it, and they could say, "Look, we're, this could be a great experience for you too." If they, meaning Nebraska, are kicking the tires and you're not sure if they're all the way in or not, this could be the place where you go. I think that's an important piece to remember here. What else do we have here? Doug. Oh, bad takes Doug. Connor, why going into basketball here makes no connection. Football, basketball, two different Bert. Well, I explain that, Doug. I brought up basketball to say that the door is ajar, right? That doesn't have to be a bad thing for Nebraska. It does mean Nebraska will have to probably work a little bit harder. It does mean Nebraska will, it does mean that prospects around the area, they want to hear, it used to be from the perspective of, hey, just come to Nebraska because it is what you do, right? Now you have leverage. Now you have other schools that are recruiting you. You have, other things that you could potentially do at this point. So yes, it doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world, but notably, it is odd looking at the list. That's for sure.
Hokey Skir says this class is more national. So moving on.
You're moving on. That's cool. Yeah. I have no predictions on what Nebraska might do. Like all I could say at the end of this thing, just like I would say for any other class, is you better hope they pan out. You better hope that Nebraska has success, because if they have success, then we're not going to talk about this.
How many times did we watch Notre Dame and go, man, how'd we let that guy get out of the state?
Sure.
And other schools, but
many, many, many other schools, Josh. Let's see. Oh yeah. Wanted to bring up ESPN from over the weekend here real quick.
I'm sorry, what network?
Oh, sorry. The network that Jeremy Schaap works for.
ESPN.
Was he? I was not a good American on Friday. I did not watch the hot dog eating contest. I heard that Jeremy Schaap was involved in that somehow. He was involved in the ESPN coverage.
Whoa.
Did you watch it? No.
A little bit on mute.
Okay. So you didn't see George Shea's intro?
I didn't hear it. I saw him.
Oh, I went back and saw it later. It was good.
It's our friend.
It was good. By the way, on the Nebraska things, Jimmy writes in, Nebraska will field a team of players. They will either be good or bad. That is an excellent prediction.
Accurate.
That is an excellent prediction. So here's some things that ESPN did over the weekend. First of all, they had their MLB All-Star Selection Show over the weekend.
Great, yeah.
You know what? I almost had an entire topic written out of like, I don't think I like the way that MLB selects these All-Stars, but I couldn't come up with an alternative.
Okay.
It seems too convoluted, but I know that it's significantly less convoluted than all the other All-Star games, so I just dropped the topic entirely.
There's a legend pick? Is that new?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
I think Miguel Cabrera's got it.
Okay.
He got it like last year or 2 years ago. The commissioner could just say, we would like to reward career achievement.
It's important
He's
for
not
you
an
to be in
all-star.
this game.
Yes.
You're in this game. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Now, you get an all-star to act on to your resume. So if Clayton Kershaw was like an 11-time all-star, he's now a 12-time all-star. Is this true? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay. Here. So speaking of that, they went to have their selection show, All-Star Selection Show. Everybody's tuned into ESPN. 5:00 yesterday. And unfortunately, live sports do sometimes get in the way. You can't control live sports. Sometimes they go too long.
Sure, yeah.
But they did
I get
not,
that.
ESPN did not plan on the cornhole tournament lasting long, which is what delayed the All-Star Selection Show yesterday. So ESPN got yelled at on yesterday because they made cornhole go too long.
Those are live tournaments that they show? I just thought it was the same tournament that they've been looping for the last 16 years.
That's a great question, actually. I assume it was live. I assume that's why it went long. So that was one thing.
Oh, okay.
They put on too much cornhole. Also, sadly, we lost Bobby Jenks over the weekend, former Chicago White Sox closer. Through the got 2 saves in the 2005 World Series for the White Sox, pitched in all 4 games. They swept the Astros. Rookie sensation that year, and went on to be a 2-time All-Star in his career after that. A heck of a pitcher during that time. ESPN tweeted upon his passing on Saturday, Bobby Jenks, a 2-time All-Star pitcher for the Chicago White Sox, who was on the roster when the franchise won the 2005 World Series, died on Friday in Portugal, the team announced.
Yeah, what's your problem with that?
Well, Josh, he wasn't just on the roster. He was like a stud closer and got 2 saves in the World Series.
That's your opinion?
That's actually not my opinion. He pitched in all 4 games. He got 2 saves in the World Series. He threw the last pitch of the world. He got the final out of the World Series. He was at the bottom of the dog pile. ESPN comes through and they say, yeah, I guess he was there. People are not happy about that. Also, Karl Ravech, our boy, Karl Ravech.
Yes, friend of Omaha.
He forgot what count it was. He thought it was a 3-1 count. And it was not. It was a strikeout to end the inning?
It was. Both teams ran back to the dugout, and he
was like, what's going on?
You could tell he wanted to say, where is everyone going?
Where is everyone going?
They're the ones that are wrong, not me. But he did sort of like, okay, I'm going to hold.
They had a great.
Are we sure? Okay, we're sure. Okay, we're going to break.
They had so that play at first, where the guy, he slid to kind of avoid the tag at first base. And there was this whole like review process afterwards. So they had Mason Wynn, the Cardinals shortstop, mic'd up last night. It was an uncompetitive game. It wasn't. I mean, it was the 4th inning. I think it was 6-0 by this time where this play happened. So they get through all this stuff, and then they go back to action. They're like, "Hey, Mason, what did you think?" That was pretty good. Like they immediately got a player reaction on this, and Mason Wynn was like, "Yeah, I'd be pissed if I got called out for that." So that was good. So I wanted to give a little bit of shout out to ESPN, but I wanted to bring the point up, which is people really like yelling at ESPN these days.
Oh, it gives people great satisfaction.
The tide has turned on ESPN. People do not respect ESPN anymore. They say, they're just like, well, what would you expect from this network? And then, when it's something Major League Baseball involved, they'll say, well, they couldn't give away the rights any sooner from ESPN and stuff like that. Like, first of all, they got a lot of stuff going on. Everything can't be perfect, but their mistakes these days get magnified by the internet. I just find it interesting how the tide is just completely turned on this network gradually to this point where they can't do anything right anymore, according to the public. They really can't.
That's the exact sentiment people have.
They cannot do anything right anymore, according to the public.
No, even if it's something their own doing.
Even if it's something good, somebody will be like, well, it's ESPN, so they'll find a way to screw it up. Let me tell you this. You get to that point, you're in trouble.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
What does it actually mean, like from a business standpoint? I mean, they're not going to stop being the worldwide leader in sports. They're not going to stop being the network that everybody turns to
FS1
after the game,
surpassing them.
Yeah, to go watch SportsCenter and stuff like that. But it is an interesting American public sentiment that we look at our, the once beloved and cherished property as like, I can't believe this has devolved into this. And like you said, Josh, it's their own doing. It's a long laundry list of things over the last 10, 15 years, whether it be, cuts and firings and changing programming and hiring the wrong people and giving Stephen A. Smith 1 million hours of airtime to say whatever the hell he wants and paying him $8 billion to do all of those things. It's all that stuff just wrapped into one. And the sentiment is, I just can't trust these guys anymore. If I have a property, if I want a thing that, that I'm going to show and produce and I want to showcase, I can't trust them to do that, which is fascinating.
I'm trying to think of something similar. I don't know, Saturday Night Live, like
definitely fallen out of the good graces of the American public.
Anytime, but we had fun during the 50th anniversary reunion, didn't we, people?
Yeah.
Gosh.
But it's almost like when a good episode of SNL happens, we're like, oh yeah, that's what it used to be like. We actually give SNL credit for it. People don't give ESPN credit for anything.
Oh, week 1 of College Game Day, we'll go, wow, this is a perfect day.
Even that people started to yell. Yeah. Now McAfee might have saved it. McAfee and company might have saved it.
They only talk about the SEC on College Game.
Oh yeah, there's all that stuff too,
which is true.
And then there's ESPN went woke, which is what Hockey Dad says right now.
Go woke, go broke.
They went woke,
and they're going to go broke.
There you go. Maybe that's the question that we should be asking. Did ESPN go woke and then broke?
I don't think they're broke. They are broken. Go woken, go broken.
Let's keep an eye on that. They can't do anything right, according to the internet, anyway, these days.
And the internet famously loves a lot of things.
Well, the internet famously loves itself.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important point to note in this category as well. All right, let's take a break. Mike Schaefer is our next guest. Coming up on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Come the Guardians.
Yeah, I have statistics to back up that we have people that listen.
Mike Schaefer.
Anytime there's sort of a debate as to who can do something, Happer would always put his name forth.
For sure. Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I could be a star.
All right, we're joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Mike Schaefer of Husker 247. Schaefer, hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are we doing? How are you doing?
I'll speak for Josh. I'd say we are good. We are, happily back from the weekend and just trying to figure out how to get through these next 7 or 8 weeks before football season starts.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm sitting here looking at college football 26. I totally forgot that this was being dropped today.
Yep.
And I'm trying to decide if it's worth spending the extra money for the early access. I don't really need any of the additional stuff that they're offering. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, if I wanted to do this, should I just spend $35 more and then I get the Madden with it as well? But
right.
I might never really play Madden because I haven't played Madden in 10 years.
All these thoughts went through my head as well, Schaefer. Here's what I ended up on.
What are we doing?
Let's
work through it.
People
can do the same.
I did get the early release, so it is downloaded and waiting for me upon my arrival home this afternoon.
And then obviously when the kid goes to bed and all those things you're supposed to do as an adult.
Correct. And it's. So I don't know. It's only a day early though, right? Or is it?
It looks like a 3-day early access.
Okay, 3 days.
I'm seeing here,
yes.
But then obviously because allegedly we're adults and responsible, like how much value is there in that early access?
I don't know. I just really like. I don't know. I felt like
you like having it.
I like having it.
I know I'm getting it today. It's deciding whether I'm getting the Madden thing with the 2.
I passed on the Madden. I passed on the Madden. I don't know. I just didn't feel like I'd have enough time to do both, from like a...
Oh, I know I won't.
Yeah.
It's just like, this seems like a value. I could only spend $35 more for another game that I won't play near enough.
You could...
I think I'm just doing the deluxe edition. I made the decision on air today. No Madden for me. No one can play me. I can't lose to a 10-year-old online. It'll be great.
I've been told by a friend of mine who's already dove into the game in the first half hour that it was released, even on the early release, that apparently, now I don't know this for sure because I haven't seen it, but my friend said Cortez Mills and Isaiah Mosey are not on the game yet, or TJ Lateef. So many of the freshman Huskers apparently not on it on the first run through here.
Well, if they haven't opted in, they might not be on it at all. And then, of course, they'll do the roster update sort of throughout. I think the thing that makes video games the most frustrating to me as an adult now relative to being a kid is that you expect the game when it's released to be a better quality version of it than it will be.
Yep.
But because they can do all these patches, they release like a 70% done game.
100%.
And you spend most of your time playing it in its infancy instead of playing it when it's fully complete. Like, I don't know when the last time I played college football 25 was, but I just remember like the multitude of issues that they sort of had to find patches for and go through. Like, did you play last year's game? Because you would basically rough the punter without trying to do anything multiple times in a game.
Yeah, it took me a really long time to like really, get down to tune it exactly how I wanted it to for the settings and what was called and wasn't. But yes, if you just left it as it was, you would rough the punter and the kicker every single time and you would like never get off the field. It was horrible.
Yeah. Very, very frustrating. I thought last year's learning curve for playing a sports game was among the toughest that I've experienced. Now, some of that is my reaction time is probably worse than my 30s. My care and the willingness to like put in effort to get better at it was probably lower. But I lost to an FCS team like last year, the second game that I played in the Dynasty. And it made me question what I was doing here.
Yeah,
in a way that I didn't.
FCS Midwest was they were kind of frisky, if I remember right.
Yeah, there was some sort of bug where the team was actually like really, really good and hard to defeat, and that made me feel better. But it still hurt. It still hurt.
Schaefer, on the recruiting side, so we talked about this last week and sort of the preview and the run up to the week. It was generally a good week last week for Nebraska, getting a few more commits, big ones at that, but ending the week on a little bit of a sour note with an in-state product ending up at Iowa. We'll start there just because that's the talking point for everybody right now. What would you chalk up Darien Jones's commitment to Iowa to? And how did it come to be where Nebraska did not finish the week the way that maybe they wanted to last week?
Yeah, I would say that it was more difficult than I think I realized initially for Nebraska to overcome the kind of family love that's there for Iowa. Now, there's other members of the family. Obviously, Donovan Jones committed to Nebraska, or signed, committed, playing on Nebraska, whatever word we want to use there. And so I thought that would be enough. But this is someone that grew up really caring about Iowa football. And cover your ears if you don't want to be told the truth, but Iowa football is better than Nebraska football right now. Aesthetically, it might be uglier in some ways, but productivity-wise, putting defensive backs in the NFL, general success, it's been all Iowa. So if you think about someone that's Darien Jones's age, I mean, since he was 6 years old, Iowa football has largely been pretty solid. And then since he was, 10, Iowa football has been significantly better than Nebraska in that stretch. So it's a tough thing for people to hear, but I came to understand it more having had different conversations, obviously with Sean Bach, who you know well, who was all over this one. I mean, he was telling me back in the spring that he thought Iowa felt really good, even after Nebraska offered that the Donovan Jones thing wouldn't matter with Darien Jones. And here's why it should matter to a Nebraska fan, because I saw this on Twitter the other day when I tweeted that, I thought that Darien Jones is one of the best players in the state for the 26th cycle. Immediately the response is, Nebraska's got young defensive backs. He's just a 3-star. They don't need him. If that's your attitude, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you watch Darien Jones play at all last year, generally he was probably the best player on the field. Like, I think he's really good. He's a really smooth athlete. He's someone who I wouldn't be shocked at all if he goes and has a great career at Iowa if they help get him into the NFL. And on top of it, you never want to play these guys. Like, that game is always going to mean a ton to him. You're always going to get a great version of Darien Jones when Nebraska and Iowa squares off. And so I think there's a lot of upside there. And I think this is a miss for Nebraska. And it was going to be a miss for other reasons because they didn't even offer him until April.
Yep.
I thought it was an evaluation miss from Matt Rhule. And I don't have any problem saying that. And I'm sure that there's going to be the super fans that are going to be like, oh, well, they don't need him anyway, whatever it is. This is a guy in your state that they should have been all over last year as a junior. They could have built a better relationship with him. I think there was some hesitancy on his overall athleticism, which is laughable to me because his brother, great athlete, Darien's not that different and is every bit as dominant on the football field. I thought Nebraska was slow to getting there, and it may not have mattered. He might have went to Iowa anyways, but this is one of those recruitments where, you miss out on Devin Jackson. He went to Oregon. He was visiting LSU. He visited Miami. He was committed to Florida. Like, that's a tough pull out of Miami. Devin Jackson's a tough kid to get. Darien Jones is at Omaha North. Like, you really shouldn't be that late on getting that evaluation. When I stood next to Matt Rhule on the sidelines at Omaha Central, Omaha North, and Darien Jones is the best player on the field, and it wasn't a question. You know who else was in that game? Torrey Pittman. And that's who everybody's going to talk about for the class of 2027. Darien Jones is better. He was better. I think if you find any football person in Omaha, they would agree with that right now. I think the tremendous potential for Torrey Pittman. He's a great athlete. He is going to be highly recruited. He has all the big offers already. Darien Jones, better football player right now than Torrey Pittman. Will he be a better football player, 4 years from now? We'll find out. We'll see what Iowa does. We'll see where Torrey Pittman goes and all of that. And I don't mean to pit them against each other, but there's no excuse why Nebraska wasn't earlier on Darien Jones than they were.
Schaefer, we've beaten the in-state recruiting thing into the ground, as I'm certain that you're aware of. How do you square up?
Yes, I am aware.
How do you square up the idea? Like, I'm looking at the top prospects of the state according to 247, and there's 16 of them, and one of them is committed to Nebraska, and 6 of them are committed to Iowa State. Obviously, every case is different, and some of them, weren't recruited by Nebraska, weren't recruited heavy enough by Nebraska. There's numbers that we have to deal with that weren't necessarily there before. So there's that piece of it from the Nebraska perspective, and then there's also these players are getting recruited by these other schools, and the door is kind of open for these local prospects. How do we kind of square all of that up? There's no lump sum answer to it all, because it depends on your perspective and what you're kind of rooting for. But man, it is odd looking at all of the school, logos and mascots on this list, and only one block in on the 16 prospects.
Well, let's start with saying this, it's a good thing for the high school athletes in the state of Nebraska that teams are comfortable coming in here and recruiting. There's more opportunities for them going forward, instead of the old system where it was like, well, if Nebraska didn't offer the kid, there must be something wrong, so why would we offer?
Right.
And then Nebraska ends up with him as a walk-on, and he has a great career. I mean, there's a lot of facets to this. There's a 105-man limit that's going to go into effect at some point, so Nebraska isn't going to take as many in-state kids. There's a fact that the ones that Matt Rhule and the Huskers have invested in haven't quite turned out to the same level that you're hoping. And so that might be a little bit discouraging. And I would never say that publicly. They would probably dismiss that outright. But I think there's an element to it. Like, you go look at the 23 and the 24 classes, and there's already guys that are transfers. There's already guys that have proven that they're not what Matt Rhule wants. And so that has an effect on being willing to recruit in the area. And then on top of it, they do their own evaluations. If they feel like the in-state crop this year wasn't up to the level where it was worth offering, or there weren't guys that they felt like fit what they want, then that's their prerogative. I totally accept and understand that. In the case of Darien Jones, I found it odd because I thought it was pretty clear. And then by the time it came clear to Nebraska, they were a little bit behind. Again, may not have mattered. But other than, Isaac Jensen and Darien Jones, I didn't get the sense that Nebraska really felt like they had to offer some of these other guys. And it doesn't mean that they aren't talented. Jet Tamala is obviously going to Alabama, but Nebraska had a commitment from Dayton Raiola and wasn't taking a second quarterback in this class. So that ends that one right there. Amarian Jackson, someone that I'm surprised that they weren't more interested in. But they never really built that relationship. And because of it, he went to Iowa State. And Caprice Keith, same thing. I didn't feel like they had really, and this isn't a knock on them. I think they just sort of had made that decision, like, best of luck to him. If we end up missing on it, that's on us. And we hope he has a great career. But we're putting our evaluation chips and our interests elsewhere. And so just like when Nebraska can go into other places and pull recruits, I mean, other teams should be able to come into Omaha and have some success too. And we're seeing Matt Campbell really having a good run of it right now. Now, what this looks like in 4 years and how they all develop is going to be a different conversation, and not one that we often have because it's more on the front end of how we want to talk about it. But this was going to be a small class. I think they were going to take a little less in terms of gambles or risks, if you would, than maybe what they've done in the past. And so we'll see what it is for 2027. They've made some offers already, and we'll see how they move forward. But they have Jace Reynolds. That's their in-state commitment for this cycle. I know they're excited about him and the potential that he can kind of provide as a sort of defensive athlete that can play in different ways. And we'll see how this does going forward. But I don't think this needs to be an every year conversation of, oh no, what's happening with in-state recruiting. Right. I think you just have to accept that they're going to try to do what's best for them on face value. And there's different factors than there was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And because of that, in-state recruiting is going to change. But the good thing is, for the athlete, it's probably never been a better time to be an in-state high school player who has Power 4 ambitions, because you have so many different schools that are combing over the state.
Schaefer,
and then beyond that,
sorry, keep
Group
going.
of 5 and everything else. Yeah, I mean, it's all there. Sorry, long-winded answer.
No problem. I wanted to get you out on this. The end of the week obviously spoiled a little bit for Nebraska, but it was a good rest of the week. But I specifically wanted to talk about Claude Mpuma a little bit. He immediately goes as the top-ranked guy in the class according to 24/7 sports. But the book and the word is that he's raw. He hasn't played football for that long. He lacks game reps and all this stuff. So it feels like a really good cross for Matt Rhule, where you have this really talented, pile of clay, and you have to, form it in whatever shape you want. I guess how will they be able to develop this piece and really all of them in this class over the next several years? Like, what's the amount of confidence for you that they could take a guy like that and form him into a really good player?
First, to start with, Claude Puma is just so unlike most of the recruits we see Nebraska get, because he is just more of a raw, big upside play, but also to the point where you can see the athleticism. I mean, this is someone that hasn't played a lot of football, but there's no question that he's a good enough athlete. And the feeling is that he can pick up the coaching fast enough. His personality works really well within Nebraska's offensive line system. So I don't think there's a lot of concern there. I think that this is a really weird answer. I think there's some similarity in that you have a Carter Nelson who played a ton of football in his career, but now he's adjusting to 11-man football and strictly being a tight end. It's different in that he's played a lot of the sport, but there's still that curve, right? Like, there's still the things that you have to learn, and there's still the coaching that Nebraska has to be able to give these guys. And so a lot of it's going to fall on Donovan Raiola and the rest of his offensive line assistants, and making sure that Claude Puma is learning what he needs to learn. And the beautiful thing with offensive linemen, unlike almost every other position, is that they get to come here and you get to forget about them for at least 1 year when they redshirt. And in his case, it's probably going to be a 2-year thing that by the time he's in his third year, you hope Nebraska's done a good enough job with the offensive line that he doesn't have to play immediately, that he's going to have 2 years to learn the sport, to learn how to play the tackle position. And then you're hoping to unleash this guy that has, if it all works, legitimate day 1, day 2 NFL upside as a left tackle. We haven't talked about that for Nebraska in who knows when. Like, when is the last time there's been a left tackle that you think could have went in the top 3 rounds of the draft at Nebraska? Are we going back to the 90s? Are we going back to the 2000s? I can't even think of it.
They haven't had one of those prototypical guys that that you see go in the first round every they haven't had one of those.
Yeah. And that's not to say it's going to work, but this is the sort of bet that you're making.
Sure.
And that's why, he's really intoxicating and exciting, because if it does work, I mean, it's just something Nebraska hasn't had a lot of, just unquestioned NFL talent on the offensive line. And it's funny to say that about a guy who's just starting to play football, but that's the sort of upside that he has. That's how you're getting Auburn and Florida committing as much as they were to all of this, and Nebraska having to beat him out because he has that kind of upside.
Schaefer, great stuff as always. Hope you enjoyed your weekend, and good luck playing that video game this afternoon.
Yeah, we might have to play against each other to see which one of us is worse.
Exciting. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. We'll figure it out though.
It'll be great. I would predict a lot of interceptions.
Yes,
that's what I would.
Me too. See you, Schaefer.
All right, yeah.
Mike Schaefer, Husker 247. You can check out all of his stuff right there. Right there.
Are people throwing lots of picks in the game, or what?
Well, it's just,
you guys made it sound very challenging as a video.
It can be challenging if you want it to be a challenging experience. It can be very easy if you'd like it to be very easy.
Okay.
But I like it. I like some bumps in the roads. I don't need to go undefeated and win the national championship every year, Josh.
Did you lose to FCS Midwest?
As frustrating as it could be sometimes, you have to go through the frustrations to get better.
That's right.
I approach it like life.
Good take.
Back for the odd news next on 1620 The Zone.
The Connor Happer Show. Follow us on Twitter @Happer Show for all the latest news and views. We may even say something interesting once in a while.
Unlikely.
Really, guys?
JobSource USA, and employer's choice in staffing.
JobSource USA.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
All right. It's time for the odd news, Josh. What do we got?
That's right. It's here. It's time. Let's see. Where do I want to start? We'll start with sports. Now, warning to the tennis fans in the audience. I'm a big dumb idiot. I don't know how to pronounce people's names.
All right. Sabalenka.
I'm going to get it wrong. So just know that on the front end. Strawberries hold a special place in Wimbledon tradition. But strawberries and pasta?
Oh. No.
Iga?
What country?
So it doesn't say. I know she's one of the top-ranked players in the world. Swiatek?
I'd have to know what country.
Oh, her native Poland. There, I should have kept reading. You speak a lot of Polish?
Iga Swiatek?
Okay, yeah. She explained
possibly Iga.
That's a dish from her native Poland. Why is it such a big thing? Everybody should eat that. A smiling Iga said after her third-round victory over Danielle Collins on Saturday. And that's a name. I think in summer, kids are eating it a lot. I don't know. It's just a perfect mix of tastes.
Oh.
Again, that's strawberries and pasta.
Well, I mean, don't knock it till you try it, I guess. I mean,
pasta good, strawberries good.
Chili cinnamon rolls.
Mm-hmm. The 5-time Grand Slam champion mentioned the combination during her on-court interview, urging fans, you should try it, guys. Pasta, strawberries, a little bit of yogurt. She later posted on her Instagram account a bowl of pasta and strawberries.
Now,
she could work here with a food take like that.
Now, by pasta, she just means the noodles, right? She doesn't mean like the tomato sauce or the...
I believe you are correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean, noodles they're malleable, right?
Sure.
You could change them and turn them into whatever you'd like to. And if they're just plain noodles, put some strawberry sauce or like a strawberry glaze or just strawberries. I don't think this is probably as crazy as it sounds, but it is odd. It's odd.
Yeah.
That's why it's on the odd news.
That's right. So good job by me. Jurassic World Rebirth. A lot of people celebrating the financial success the movie had at the box office this weekend. Meanwhile, more than 300 people donned inflatable dinosaur costumes and took to the track at Emerald Downs in Washington for the annual T-Rex World Championship races.
Yeah.
The yearly event.
How long ago was it now where everybody had those?
This says the event started in 2017.
That feels exactly right.
It really took off during COVID. Where we didn't have anything to do.
That feels exactly like the time where everybody was buying those inflatable dinosaur costumes.
That's right.
They are funny, I have to admit.
And now that there's a new Jurassic World movie in theaters, they have jumped on the craze and released some more dinosaur costumes like that with different dinosaurs.
Sure.
Houston man Andrew Stuber was crowned the top Tyrannosaurus this year.
Way to go.
In this year's T-Rex World Championships also featured an aerial event. 3 people in T-Rex costumes jumped out of a skydive Snohomish plane. You're going to have to help me, plane boy.
Oh, what?
Snohomish. Snohomish plane?
No idea.
Okay. Thought you knew planes.
Never heard of that word before.
And parachuted down to the field before racing to the finish line. The full event is set to be aired on ESPN2 sometime later this summer. Couldn't do it live? Geez. Great weekend for ESPN.
I would definitely watch one of those inflatable dinosaurs jump out of a plane.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be pretty funny.
What if it goes wrong?
Well,
then
I wouldn't watch for that reason.
It's still funny.
I would like for the person in the dinosaur costume to safely land on the ground safely.
Now I'm being told Snohomish is a city in western Washington.
Snohomish Flying Service Flight School in Snohomish County, Washington.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
There you go. So it just happens in Washington.
Could have been a little better written then, in my opinion. We go right here to Nebraska.
Okay.
For story number 3, a popular beverage company. Now, a lot of your morning DJs are going to yuck it up on their prep service with this tomorrow, so listen to this today. A popular beverage company found themselves struggling with brand association against a long-standing canned iced tea staple, turning to a small Nebraska town for help to topple its Goliath. Liquid Death makes and sells a variety of canned sodas and water. Are you familiar?
Do they ever?
Yeah.
Everybody in this building loves it.
Liquid Death. What's wrong with just water from the jug out there?
Yeah, that nobody replaces except for Josh.
Yeah. The brand clearly, maybe that's why I'm the only one drinking it. The brand clearly has an edge, calling its version of drink mixing tea and lemonade, most commonly known as an Arnold Palmer. They call it the Dead Billionaire. You see, they're funny and clever in that way. So it's not a huge surprise that their latest advertising campaign launched Tuesday for its ice can tea takes square aim at Arizona iced tea.
Sure.
And they dubbed Liquid Death
Desert Desert Oasis.
Close. Not really. They've labeled Liquid Death the official iced tea of Arizona.
Oh.
But Josh, you said this takes place in Nebraska. That's right, I did. We go to Burt County, Nebraska, where people in the township of Arizona, Nebraska, population 278, are now the official place of Liquid Death. That's right. It's not Arizona, the state.
Arizona, Nebraska?
Yes.
I don't see anything that I don't think that exists.
There's a township in Burt County, population 278.
Arizona, Nebraska. Burt County. Yeah, right off of the Missouri, just north of us here. It has a one Wikipedia page entry.
Okay.
A post office was established at Arizona in 1867. It remained in operation until it was discontinued in 1888, so 21 years. The community was named after Arizona Territory, and on July 1st, Liquid Death was named the official iced tea of Arizona, Nebraska.
That's right. The residents have obliged. The town leaders allowed them to use their town's name in the ads. Becoming the official iced tea of Arizona involved actual government processes, including an official vote by the local board of supervisors to approve the designation. Liquid Death spokesperson Jake Trado told Channel 6 here in Omaha that process is the backdrop for a new short documentary-style video from Liquid Death.
Sure.
The folks at Liquid Death seem most appreciative of the connection, making a point to mention the self-proclaimed mayor of Arizona and touring his chainsaw collection.
Cool.
Which is featured in the video.
Yeah. Liquid Death. Way to go, guys. You're doing it again.
They're so clever.
Very, very clever.
Arizona,
It
Nebraska.
almost makes me want to drink it.
What?
Almost.
And then you drink it and you're like, why is there bubbles in this water?
Why is it just water?
In a can.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That is the odd news. The noon hour is coming up. Where's Matt Rhule?
In his office working, right?
Wrong.
Oh, no.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
he does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Great news from over the weekend out of Serbia. Where Nikola Jokic's horse won a race.
Hello. Wow. It's really paying off for him then.
Yeah, the video was going around over the weekend. It is, please forgive me, I don't know what any of this is called, but it is the type of horse racing where the jockey is attached via like training wheels, basically. He has like a carton. He has a cart that he sits in.
Okay.
Instead of on top of the horse. So it's not like horseback riding, it's horse cart riding or whatever. And Nikola Jokic apparently has I assume he has a stable of horses, entered one into this race, and that horse won. He was extremely happy. Looked like he was maybe happier than when he won the NBA championship 2 years ago, or really at any point in his basketball playing life and career back home in Serbia when his horse won a race.
Okay, we can probably
find out the name of the horse.
No, we can probably figure out what Nikola Jokic looked like when the Nuggets won the title.
Yes, because I definitely know what he looks like when his horse won this race, and it is extremely happy. Like, known to be happy at various times throughout his NBA career when he's, messing around and stuff like that. But he won the title. Remember, the first interview he gave after he won the title was, now the job is done. Now we go home. And then he went to the press conference and he was asked, hey, what are you going to do at the parade? And he goes, when is parade? And he was very worried because he had to go home. He wanted to go home to see the horses.
So, couple things.
A chariot race, harness racing. Texter is saying harness racing.
Many people asking if you know what a chariot is.
It's a cart. It's a man who's sitting in a cart.
And second of all, I went back in time. I've looked at the video of the clock hitting 0 and the Nuggets becoming world champions.
Yep.
A lot of workmanlike handshakes from Nikola Jokic.
100%. Now, he did end up having a good time at parade.
He did.
Remember? He went to the parade and they made him do a speech at the parade. And he was like, yeah, they were very... I made a big deal about not wanting to go to parade, but guess what? I do like parade.
I drink beer.
I like parade. I go home tomorrow, but I like parade today. So congratulations to Nikola Jokic, whose horse won a race. Either harness racing or chariot racing. I don't know what the proper term is. Also, I'm really dying to know the name of the horse, but everybody's only seen the video of him and they haven't translated it from the language.
Oh, okay. Sure. They'd be Serbian names.
Vimo Chris writes in, Connor Jokic is trolling. The dude went wild at the parade. I know. He is a jokester. He's a jokester.
Oh, really?
He is very happy. He's a very happy man. He's very happy-go-lucky. But he doesn't often show it when he's actually playing basketball.
Okay.
I love it.
I have maybe a little bit of info on
now
the
he'll
horses.
have to find out how to play with Jonas Valanciunas. He probably will not be happy about that.
Nikola Jokic's favorite horse is named Amsterdam, according to a YouTube video from May 3rd.
Cool.
His brother also mentioned another favorite horse named Dreamcatcher. Jokic also owns horses named, I apologize.
I have received a text.
Breno Lamar and Amy Del Duomo.
Okay.
Those are human names.
Apparently, now, I'm going to trust this source on this.
Okay.
This person is just a big Nikola Jokic fan. Okay.
Bigger than you.
Bigger than me.
Okay.
It appears. The horse that particularly won that race, that horse is Dreamcatcher.
Okay.
He caught the dream.
He really did.
Nice job, Dreamcatcher. And congratulations to Nikola Jokic. Alex Sindelar writes in, We need to start a campaign to get 1620 to do a day of shows at medieval times.
We'll do it.
Maybe we do a show from Serbia, too. We should do a show from Serbia at one of Nikola Jokic's races.
What's the Kentucky Derby of Serbia? Let's send
it's
us
that.
there.
It has to be that, the one that Dreamcatcher won. Although it didn't have a big crowd. I will say that.
Really, people not attending events in Serbia?
Not much. Not as much as you might think.
Wonder why that would be.
What's Matt Rhule doing?
Great question. Did his horse win a race?
Well, if you consider his horse to be the Savannah Bananas.
I will not back that horse.
Well, he is. Matt Rhule, still on vacation, which is fine.
It's fine.
Which is fine. We love when people are on vacation. Josh and I will each have vacations. Maybe at the same time. Maybe. We'll see. But Matt Rhule, during his time off, his downtime, went to Boston, to Fenway Park, not to see the Boston Red Sox.
Oh, to do slurs?
But to see, not to get, maybe he got a Fenway Frank or whatever, but they saw the Savannah Bananas.
Disgusting.
The Savannah Bananas were very much at Fenway Park this weekend. Matt Rhule got a picture and he did the finger thing with Kyle Perry, former Husker, friend of the show.
KP.
Who is a Savannah Banana. We should have Kyle on and I should tell him about how much I disagree with the things that are going on.
Combative radio, good bit.
No, but I'm not like mad at him. I just wanted to, I want to tell him my piece. And he'll say, Connor, you hate fun. And I'll say, I know, but it's just not for me. You can understand that, right?
Good bit.
Yeah. So Matt Rhule went to the Savannah Bananas game. Now, I wanted to compare this to a situation that's going on in Auburn. Have you seen the noise coming out of Auburn, Alabama over the last couple of weeks?
I sure haven't. I'm getting to it, though.
Hugh Freeze.
That's their coach.
What's he doing on vacation? The answer is lots of golf. So much so that there have been like investigative news pieces about what Hugh Freeze is doing. Let me read some to you.
Oh.
Auburn Tigers head coach Hugh Freeze logged 11 rounds of golf in the first 3 weeks of June. Now, Josh, 11 rounds of golf in 3 weeks is quite a lot. That's almost professional level rounds of golf.
11 rounds in 21 days.
It's a lot of golf. A lot of golf. Which Yellowhammer News points out is stunningly high for an SEC coach, balancing recruiting and on-field responsibilities. An investigative piece of journalism from AL.com insider Matt Stahl took a look into the head coach's golfing habits recently, and it turns out Freeze plays a whole lot more than one would think a college football head coach is actually able to do. He has a Josh, you wouldn't probably understand this. A gin.
I love gin.
No,
I actually
not
don't
that
like
kind. Not that kind of gin. GHIN. It's a USGA enforced created handicap. Created.
So it's not just he knows his handicap.
It's a mathematical equation to get you a number. Get you to a number.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
He has a GIN of 7.4, meaning he is shooting in the low 80s and high 70s on a regular basis. So, translation, he's good at golf, which is possibly worse for Hugh Freeze. Freeze is much better than the average golfer. In order to maintain a handicap, though in the GIN system, the rounds are logged publicly, meaning Stahl was able to find out exactly how much the coach was playing. According to the story, which was published on June 24th, Freeze had played a grand total of 11 rounds that he had logged in those first 3 weeks of June alone. GIN only shows 20 rounds publicly at once, Stahl wrote. While an exact number cannot be placed on the amount of rounds he plays in a year, that threshold has been achieved and likely more than that. Freeze has an extremely impressive golf game, but fans upon the release of the story understandably question why he's spending so much time on the golf course without having much success on the field, and lately in recruiting either. In reality, they are likely not connected at all. However, that will not stop Auburn fans from asking some tough questions of their head coach. Thank you for laying all that out, even though they're definitely not connected.
Yellowhammer.
Thank you, News. I appreciate that. What do we think about football coaches playing golf, Josh? Any takes?
I mean, I have like ancillary questions, like what's their recruiting class like?
Not good.
Not good.
They've had some recruiting losses as of late.
Okay.
I'll tell you exactly what they're rated right now.
What's their non-con? Go ahead.
86. They only have 7 commits.
That's
at
probably
the
pretty
moment.
bad for Auburn.
It's bad for really any Power 5 team. 86, Josh. That's not good at all.
Wow. 3 road games in their first 5. At Baylor, at Oklahoma, at A&M, and then a bye week.
Mm-hmm.
Then they post Georgia.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. I would have some concerns if I was an Auburn Tigers fan. Sure.
Well, they are concerned, all right, Josh.
Yeah.
They are concerned. And remember, Auburn is a place where they're not exactly rational people.
That was kind of where I was coming from.
They won a national championship one time, and now they think they are like one of the big dogs. But the truth is they're really not. They've gone through a lot of turmoil, a lot of different coaches. And they settled on the extremely clean and squeaky clean normal head coach Hugh Freeze, who now they have come to dislike, it appears, because he's either too good at golf or plays too much golf. Possibly related.
7.5 is their win total. Oh, look at that. He went to Northwest Mississippi Community College. Look at that.
Yep.
Junior college baseball player.
Thank you for that fact about Hugh Freeze.
Just letting you know where these JUCO guys come from.
2 7-loss seasons in a row, and now perfectly timed, the story comes out that he plays too much golf. Very, very interesting. Let's take a look at the comments, shall we? Jeff writes in,
okay.
Scott Frost level of golf. Alex and Lincoln writes in, Freeze, handshake meme, Scott Frost.
Oh, no. Keep going.
Hoof-hearted writes in. Once again, that's hoof-hearted or hoof-hearted. I get it. Is there any information about his drinking habits? I'm starting to draw a parallel in my mind.
Now, you got to throw this in the water if you're asking about his drinking habits. He is a born-again Christian who was diagnosed with prostate cancer earlier this year. But
he was also laying in a bed that one time at the football game and coaching.
That's right.
What
a life this man has led.
It's a lot. There's a lot going on. And so, frankly, number one, I don't think Hugh Freeze cares about what people say about him.
Couldn't possibly, right?
Yeah,
I mean, he did the thing in the bed, right?
He coached a football game. I don't know if he was coaching or what he was doing, but they showed him in the hospital bed in the stadium. That was fantastic. What a
performance.
There are a few things that have happened throughout his career. He was his name was dragged around in the mud a little bit. Did he do some of these things? Maybe not. But Auburn said that's okay. We'll hire you anyway. But if you don't win, we will remember everything, including golf. If you play too much golf, you're on thin ice. All this is to say, do you care when college football head coaches do things? We had a discussion about Matt Rhule and him being places.
It really is case by case basis.
It's almost not case by case. It's just if you win or not. People actually don't care about this if you're good.
Yeah. Like I know he's not coaching anymore, but like if Nick Saban or if Kirby Smart was out.
Let me make this easy for you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say in his first 2 years, Matt Rhule has back-to-back 10-win seasons at Nebraska. We're going into year 3. And last week it comes out that Matt Rhule, while he's on vacation, shot a 78 like on back-to-back days at Indian Creek or something like that. And he took a picture and he did one of the points. What do you think the response to that would be?
Good for him. Love it. Got to have that work-life balance.
No, it would be more than that, Josh. It would be, our coach is better at golf than your coach.
Okay.
How about you get a coach who can play golf with the big boys?
That's right.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why my guy doesn't lose. That's why he doesn't lose on the football field, and that's why he doesn't lose in recruiting.
Yeah, you're right. That's what it would be.
But if current Matt Rhule, let's just say Matt Rhule has got to 0 bowl games in his 2 years here.
Whoa.
He's out playing golf, 11 rounds and 21 days of golf. People would be like, okay,
yeah.
Do we need to worry about this? Do we need to be concerned about this?
Yeah,
it's very simple.
I'm trying to think what he could do if he was losing, and no, I'd still want him to win games.
Alex in Lincoln writes in,
hi Alex.
Would Hugh Freeze coach a game in Uzbekistan? Great question. But once again, many parallels being drawn here that I couldn't comment on.
Wow.
People, I just hope that he doesn't get kicked out of a country club at some point, or
boy, that'd be embarrassing.
Yeah, it would be. Or don't wear basketball shorts to the country club or something like that.
What in God's name would compel you to do that?
I don't know. People do stuff, man.
Okay.
People do stuff.
I didn't know that one.
That's what people do. All right, let's take a break. Glad we're all squared away on coaches in the offseason doing stuff. And congratulations again to Nikola Jokic and his horse, Dreamcatcher.
Good job, Dreamcatcher.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, Connor Happer, Josh Hodson back with you here on a Monday. Everybody's got their limbs and fingers, except for that poor 19-year-old.
Lost half a digit.
Very, very sorry to hear that. Be careful out there.
Mm-hmm. Also, remember, the fireworks are illegal now until New Year's Eve.
So. Please remember that, because people seem to forget a lot, Josh.
Yeah. Rubes.
Also, they're legal on New Year's Eve around here?
Yeah.
Why? Why do we give people more windows of opportunity to shoot those things off?
Because they'll pay hundreds of dollars to drink a beer and blow things up, America.
I really love that idea. Like, I like that that's our thing.
I love that they have the freedom to do that.
Yes.
It's just something I choose not to do. There are lots of things I choose not to do.
I like that. I like that on that one day we're all, rednecks. I think it's cool.
A little bit.
I got no problem with that. I think it's great. I just don't want to hear it when I'm not actively doing it, which I know is impossible in a really high standard, but that's my opinion, Josh. I have an opinion and that's it. Don't shoot fireworks ever unless I'm doing them.
Good opinion.
That's my opinion.
Hey, everybody, Happer's doing fireworks.
Yep. Time to go. Go ahead. Shoot as many as you want. In fact, that's the time when you do it. I won't schedule this out. I'll probably do it once every 3 years. So you guys can find it, but it will be on the 4th of July.
Okay.
But potentially on the 3rd.
Depending on when it falls.
I saw some people, by the way, saying, and we were talking about this a little bit before the show, Josh. Is the 3rd of July the new 4th of July?
Ooh, interesting.
Now, some of it depends on what day of the week the 4th falls on.
That's a big one, right?
But this year it worked out, so the 3rd was the last day of the work week for literally everybody.
Mm-hmm. Friday
was the 4th. You party hardy on Thursday night, and then by Friday night, you're like, oh, do I still have it? Am I still there?
Well, you have that built-in, because nobody's doing the built-in buffer, I guess. Nobody's doing anything at noon on the 4th of July, right? Like, so you can go hard on the 3rd and sleep it off.
Exactly. You wake up and you turn on my boy George Shea. He's doing the intros for Joey Chestnut at the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest.
And you watch that guy chug like 9 gallons of lemonade.
A lot of lemonade. You watch some guy
Whoa.
just spew it all over the table, sitting in the splash zone.
You watch the women's competition and you wonder, why was that lady able to eat 8.5 pounds of kimchi?
Did Miki Sudo do that?
She did that. It scrolls their other accomplishments while they're eating.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm like, whoa, 8.5 pounds of kimchi.
That's awesome.
Like 3 bites of kimchi, and I'm like, okay, I've had kimchi. This is good, but I don't need any more.
Baymat says, I was pleasantly surprised at the fireworks on Saturday night. I was expecting it to be much worse than it was. Yeah, I can't believe that there is any still left on Saturday night. You got to blow them all up on the 4th.
Yes, legally.
Please, get rid of them all. I'm prepared for it that night. People will drug their dogs, take extra precautions for their children sleeping. We had an extra noisemaker outside of the room on Friday night. Saturday, I took no precaution whatsoever. I was lucky to get out of there.
I'm prepared to share this with the audience.
Okay.
My mother-in-law and her husband, my father-in-law, they live in a neighborhood with other people of their age. People who are not impressed with fireworks.
Like me.
My wife, son, and I, we were
you want to live there?
We were refugees this weekend and lived with my in-laws because there were no fireworks. Meanwhile, at my block, they closed it off. They closed it off, Connor.
Really?
Yeah.
Can't even drive your car. So you couldn't go home if you tried.
Right. Once I was out, I had to stay out.
Nah, you can move. You can move that barricade.
You can.
Yeah.
But man.
Hey, do blocks still have block parties anymore?
Apparently.
Okay. Interesting. I haven't seen a block party in years.
Come to my block on the 4th of July. They do it every year.
I probably don't need the block party.
Probably don't.
From the 402, 8.5 pounds of kimchi. I bet her gas was toxic for weeks.
Right?
It's a lot of kimchi, Josh. 8.5 pounds.
My take, too much kimchi.
Yeah, too much. Speaking of takes, grade this one from Urban Meyer.
Okay.
Remember Urban Meyer?
I do. Jacksonville Jaguars coach.
He does a podcast whenever he feels like
He does a podcast?
Whenever he feels like it. Every once in a while, I hear him jump on this triple option podcast. I think Mark Ingram's on it. And then the other Fox guy, I think Rob Stone's on there.
Big Trust? Mark Ingram?
Big Trust, yes. So they do Big Noon Saturday together. Okay. So they all hang out and do a podcast every once in a while. So here's Urban Meyer's quote. Grade this. I don't know if I even told Rob Stone, Mark Ingram this, but I had a school come see me this year and asked if I wanted to be the GM. And a couple other phone calls, and you start to think, okay, they actually came to see me. So I said, yeah, I'll meet and I'll sit down with you guys. So I said, okay, what's the job description? And they said, well, you basically meet with all the agents of 17 and 18-year-olds. And I thought I'd rather step on a rusty nail and pull it out myself. What do you think about that Urban Meyer take, Josh?
Now, I don't have his entire ledger at my disposal. I'm going to go ahead and rank that the best opinion Urban Meyer has ever had.
It's close to the top. There's not much that sounds less appealing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer is cooking. That is a great take. Now, first of all, why the hell would Urban Meyer want to do that?
Hey, coach, do you miss the game, but you can't coach it because of your health? You'd like to
be around it, and you could be an asset. Like, I understand completely why someone would want Urban Meyer to do it.
Yes.
Because it gives immediate credibility to the job, and you could say you employ Urban Meyer and yada, 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 like the greatest college football mind or whatever. I understand fully why teams would want Urban Meyer to do that job. I have zero understanding of why Urban Meyer would ever want to do that job, and it feels like he feels the same way about it.
You'd have to hire him at a school where the fan base doesn't go, "Hey, the GM is the better coach.
Yeah,
why don't we just have him do it?"
It is a conflict of interest.
Yeah,
yes, it is a bit of a conflict of interest.
So I mean, you'd really have to be careful there.
Like if Nebraska hired him to be the GM.
Well, Urban Meyer was going to be the Nebraska head coach. He really wanted to.
Immediately, people would be like, okay, I see the way this is going. They're going to push Rhule out the door.
Yep.
He's going to be the GM or whatever, do whatever you want with him. Maybe he'll be the athletic director or something like that. Urban's the head coach next year. It's done. We're going to win the national championship. People would convince themselves of that in seconds.
That's right.
It would not take very long.
No.
So nice job by Urban Meyer. That job is for, I would say, like, there's this kind of war going on around college football of who can hire the most accomplished GM. Like, Nebraska has a really accomplished GM.
North Carolina has one.
Oklahoma has one. Mm-hmm. North Carolina less accomplished,
but a name,
but a name for sure. I don't know that I necessarily get like it. That feels like a job that is for a young and hungry,
who's going to be the Theo Epstein of college football?
Yeah. Right. So as evidenced by this was the big college football story over the weekend that caught people's attention. Texas Tech is at it again, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no.
5-star offensive tackle Felix Ojo, or Ojo, I assume Ojo.
I hope it's Ojo.
Number 20 in the ESPN 300, which is a recruiting database that people definitely pay attention to, has committed to Texas Tech. His agent, Derek Shelby, tells ESPN that Ojo will join Texas Tech on a fully guaranteed 3-year, $5.1 million revenue share contract, believed to be one of the largest guaranteed deals in college football history. Yeah, I would think so.
3-year, how much?
3 years, $5.1 million.
Okay. And he's a what position?
He's a tackle.
Oof. Wow. Those are very valuable.
Okay, but it doesn't, like, the first thing that I see is like, wait a minute. Fully guaranteed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, we had heard about this run of stories where the contracts were like super duper school friendly. Mm-hmm. Right? They were like, well, it hinges upon this and it hinges upon this and it hinges upon this. Well, it turns out, unfortunately for everybody, Texas Tech has now set the market for they just ruined it for everyone because they said, here, as long as you stay for 3 years, we're going to give you over that period of time, you will be given $5.1 million if you meet the stipulations of the contract, which I assume are just if you are on the roster. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Now, I've heard about some stories where the athletic director, and Dannon mentioned this when he was talking about rev sharing a little bit as well. Like, I think there are some stipulations in there where there are buyouts possible. So say player A wants to transfer and he's in the middle of a rev share contract and he's guaranteed all this money. Mm-hmm. The new school would buy out the contract and pay the former school, which would make sense because that's how it works in professional sports, kind of. But it's just so odd to be talking about. So when I saw 3 years, $5.1 million guaranteed, I thought, oh boy, we are on a slippery slope here. And this is a very interesting place to start. But it's Texas Tech. We let Texas Tech, a.k.a. I don't know, they're not the Yankees because they don't have the success, but man, they have unlimited money. They could just buy whatever they want.
The Padres?
Yeah, the Padres for like a year and a half. Or the Dodgers, maybe right now. I don't know.
The Mets?
Guaranteed revenue share contract. So now any other high-profile recruit can go to a school and said, well, that guy got 5.1 guaranteed, so I'm going to need 6 guaranteed.
Yeah, you're setting a market
and
for everyone else.
And I'm not talking about $5.1 million, like the possibility to make $5.1 million. I'm talking about I want the $5.1 million.
Fully guaranteed.
Fully guaranteed.
You will get it to me.
Remember a handful of years ago when all the quarterbacks started doing the fully guaranteed contracts? That is a trend that has not stopped and will not stop. There's no more like incentive base, like if you're still here by this time, the team gets an out or anything like that. It's just like, nope, this contract will be fully executed one way or the other.
Boy, Urban Meyer really was right because
Urban Meyer is cooking.
Because with the NFL deals, like it's all pretty structured, right? Like, okay, this guy got this. You're gonna go one over.
They're creating the new. Yeah. They're creating the bracket and how it looks as we speak. If you are a 2027 or 2026 recruit and you have yet to negotiate your revenue sharing deal, you are in an advantageous position, young fella. Advantageous indeed. A lot of this money has already kind of been spoken for. These next 12 months, I know we've said this a lot. These next 12 months are just going to be nuts. They're going to be fascinating.
You're going to hear some things.
You're going to hear some things. And there will probably be, I assume what will happen over time is that player movement will calm down as a result of this revenue sharing and all this stuff. But in the next year, I don't know. There's gonna be people suing people. There's gonna be all sorts of people in the transfer portal, all sorts of money getting thrown around, agents everywhere. I mean, it's gonna be nuts.
I'm gonna stay here and get my check, but
yeah,
I'm not gonna be happy, and I'm gonna tell you about it.
I am sitting out all of the games, or sitting out the bowl, or whatever. I mean, it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
People are going to be leveraging whatever they can. And finding whatever edge they can to get whatever easy money they can. And then maybe we'll figure it out, put the right stipulations in the contracts and whatever, and then go from there. Or maybe, hear me out, at some point there will be some sort of like standardized contract that we kind of start, like, I don't know, like a rookie pay scale, stuff like that. I mean, we kind of have that. But then there would have to be some collective bargaining, which does kind of feel like the way we have to go on this. But it's not going to be for a while.
You can stiff arm it, but you're going to end up there.
Feels like it. All right, we'll come back. When we return to round out the noon hour, we'd like to give some hearty congratulations yet again to Gen Z, creators of all things. Thank you, Gen Z.
Another one from Gen Z.
We'll tell you what they've invented this time next on 1620 The Zone. All right, Gen Z. What do we got to come up with a better name for these guys because they are incredible. They are inventing and innovating like no generation has ever done before, Josh.
Really? This is amazing.
I'd say this is the great generation.
Would you go so far as to say the greatest generation?
Whatever, not to compare it to that one, but like greater. It's much better.
Certainly been through more hardships and done more for society.
100%. So here's the latest that Gen Z has created. This is a article from fastcompany.com.
Love fastcompany.com.
The thought of one day retiring and no longer having to punch a clock, answer emails, work long hours, the other responsibilities of employment is a dream that can get you through the hard moments of work. When retirement typically occurs after completing a career and saving and investing for it, a new trend is emerging among Gen Z career professionals. It's called micro-retirement.
Oh, that sounds interesting. I think I'd like to do that.
Micro-retirement involves taking a 1 to 2 week break from work every 12 to 18 months. Once again, let me read that again.
Yeah.
Micro-retirement is defined by Gen Z as a 1 to 2 week break from work every 12 to 18 months. If that sounds familiar, you're just wrong. That has never been done before. Thank you, Gen Z.
Thank you, Gen Z, for yet another brilliant idea.
Gen Z is using micro-retirement to avoid burnout, find greater fulfillment in their work, and enhance their overall well-being. Can you believe it? That's what they're using micro-retirement for.
I want to pull the curtain back a little bit. Connor put this on our prep sheet today, and I said, what a fun story. We'll have a laugh. It'll be great.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely pissed right now.
That's right, folks. Gen Z created vacation. If you could believe that.
You soy boys really piss me off.
Now, as defined in the article, here's some examples of what micro-retirement could look like.
Oh yeah, I'd like to know what I could do with this free time.
This is an example of a micro-requirement: quitting a job and finding a new job when you're ready to work again. That's micro-retirement. Setting up a plan with your employer that allows you to take unpaid frequent work breaks. Micro-retirement.
Whoa. If you do
don't do unpaid.
If you do that, you're an idiot.
You can get paid the whole time.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And taking breaks from your business, if you're a business owner, that's a micro-retirement. Now, there's some pros and cons of micro-retirement, Josh.
Sure.
Micro-retirement may sound appealing, but with the cost of living in the United States rising, a growing unemployment rate due to mass layoffs, Gen Z's struggle with debt and uncertainty, micro-retirement comes with pros and cons. Micro-retirements offer an opportunity to recharge. Let's speak with Gabrielle Siegel, a wealth management advisor at Northwestern Mutual, noting that this is valuable. Quote, it's taking time to focus on what's bringing you the most happiness, recharging, mentally avoiding burnout, and realigning with your personal goals. Gen Z is looking at the workplace a bit differently, and happiness is an important factor. That's right. Once again, this has never been done before. Thank you, Gen Z, for looking at things so differently than the rest of us.
Well, I'm never going to be able to buy a house, so I might as well just take a week off. It's the same thing. Don't you see?
However, stepping away from work without pay, which once again, you can get paid.
Don't do that.
You can get paid.
Don't do that. You're an idiot. You're not helping anyone.
Can impact someone's financial future. Taking time away from work can affect your investments in funding your retirement, particularly if your company offers a match. Siegel points out having a plan in place is important. Quote, if you're taking this micro-retirement with no game plan, that could be detrimental to your long-term retirement strategy, the real retirement, which, once again, Gen Z will never have because of the world. You need planning and realistic goals. If they continuously take time off and don't realign their financial goals, it can disrupt retirement contributions. These are earth-shattering and groundbreaking advice and facts from our friends at this website called fastcompany.com. I'm dead serious, Josh. I read through this entire thing yesterday, and I thought that there was a chance. I thought that there was like a 15, potentially 20% chance that this was a troll job. Because I think what sometimes happens, and I'm a millennial, so we often get accused of being like the cringe generation, right? Come on, guys, it's not that, like, you have to tell the millennial in your life that, hey, look, it's not that serious. And I understand that, and I'm willing to full on accept that and take responsibility of that. But is it at all possible? And I'm going to ask Josh this, and then you're going to describe to me what the phone call was about. Hopefully it wasn't Amazon Business again. It wasn't?
No, it was a real human.
Okay. Well, I want to ask about that in a second. But Josh.
Yes.
Is it possible that this article is millennial rage bait?
Oh.
Because millennials like us, we see this and we say, oh my God, Gen Z thinks they did everything and blah, blah. Like, they reacted. I reacted exactly the way that they would have wanted me to react if this was millennial rage bait. But I actually don't think it is. I thought there was a chance. I don't know whether it is or isn't, but it is so ridiculous that I thought that it could be.
Well, I mean, the other way to write this article, right, is the common sense way is, hey, Gen Z has a new name for vacation, but nobody's going to talk about that article, right? Nobody's going to share that on social media and go, look at these idiots.
But the thing is, Gen Z actually doesn't have a new way for vacation. They just think they created vacation.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not new at all. You take vacations every year. And once again, I would like to continue to drive this point home. You should be getting paid that time.
Yeah, that was really the alarming part of that article was
Gen Z thinks when they leave work, they don't get paid.
You need to have who wrote this article again?
A website called fastcompany.com by an author named Kamanzi Constable.
Okay, because like you don't have to have a plan with your boss to like stop your payments.
No, please don't do that
during your vacation.
You don't have to negotiate
or
that.
Mini retire. Yeah,
it's
like,
just one of those things that you kind of get.
You just tell them you're going, and they're like, okay. Like they shouldn't even say, well, no, that doesn't really work for us. You should go on this day.
A couple comments from you all. J-Man writes in, micro retirement, is that where Nick has been? Yes, technically. He was on micro retirement last week. And there will be upcoming micro retirements for many of us, if not all of us, at 1620 The Zone over the next probably 6 weeks.
There should be, yes.
Yeah.
It's micro retirement.
It's micro retirement.
Season.
You have to take it to regroup and refresh. Kenneth writes in, I micro retired at the lake over the weekend.
Good for you. I hope you worked it out with your employer.
Also follows up, I had to come out of micro retirement this morning, though.
Sad.
Theo writes in, I listen to Happer Show and pretend to work every day. That's micro retirement.
Perfect. Headley says, I take a micro retirement at 5 p.m. every weekday. Yes.
That technically is a micro retirement.
Would that be a micro retirement?
I don't know if there's levels of it, but yeah.
Now, Headley, I hope you work that out with your employer.
So once again,
you don't think they were rage bait?
I said there were some red flags that went up for me because I thought I was potentially being rage baited, but no, I actually think this generation is so full of themselves that they think they created vacation and are calling it micro retirement.
I like that you had the brief thought and pause.
Wait a minute.
And went,
am I being baited?
Nah, couldn't be.
No, they're just that dumb. Stupid kids.
They are really like full of themselves to where
they think they created vacation.
We just recreated the work-life balance.
Yeah. The line that got me the best was this. I read it before. Gen Zs tend to look at the world a little bit differently. Guys,
don't worry, they'll tell you.
Here's something you really probably don't want to hear if you're a Gen Z person. You don't. You look at the world the same way as everybody else does.
We all, when we were your age, we looked at the world the exact same.
Uh-huh.
And then the world beat us down.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And then you figure it out over time. You just figure it out. I'm not pretending to know everything. I'm in the process of figuring some things out. But you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You'll find a way. Don't worry. Don't be too mad at the man. But if you are, and you want to go full Gen Z, you enjoy your unpaid micro retirements.
Get paid for your micro retirement.
Please, once again, I cannot emphasize this enough. I'm no Dave Ramsey, but if you go on vacation, please get paid.
I just picture a 25-year-old at a coffee shop going, I'm living on a fixed income this week.
I'm micro retired at the moment. All right. 1 o'clock hour is coming up. The Athletic ranks college football rivalries. And the rivalry of great respect still resonates with people. You want to talk about generations, Josh? Generation below us has no opinion on Nebraska-Oklahoma, but they do have opinions on micro retirements. Generation above us, many opinions on Nebraska-Oklahoma.
So many.
And no opinions on micro retirements. Grunts at micro retirements, actually. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. I love the idea of ranking the best rivalries. It's an odd thing, right? First of all, you're trying to compete with other rivalries. You're normally competing with your rival.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
In this case, you are actually forming a team with your rival and fighting against people that you don't know. So everyone thinks that they're involved in the best rivalry. Everyone.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, no, I hate the person I hate the most more than you hate the person you hate the most. I have the most deep burning hate in my soul.
I mean, somebody's going to come on here and say that Nebraska-Iowa is the best rivalry in college football, and it's just patently not.
Nebraska-Iowa, by the way, is among the top 100 rivalries in college football.
Okay.
This is a list done by The Athletic. Now, I do want to mention something first. This is from Scott Docterman, all right, who's great, a friend of the show.
It was also called a Michigan honk.
Yeah.
On Twitter today.
Who was Scott fighting with over the weekend? I think he was...
It's always someone.
Yes.
I don't know if he catches more strays or if he just is willing to get in there and mix it up more.
He's kind of, he's actually pretty high on the list for Big Ten honk. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you this. He does not toe the company line. He wrote something about the Big Ten and their stance on this whole playoff thing. And he's like, dude, I don't know what they're doing, basically was that, which I love from Scott. So Scott is great, but he made this list. All right. So he said, I attempted to rank college football's top 100 rivalries. I peeled back the layers of reputation, examined each one's attributes, then compared them with objective measurements and help from input from my colleagues at The Athletic. A few choices are perhaps controversial, but this list is a snapshot taken with a wide lens, not a selfie stick at a tailgate. Several quality rivalries did not make the top 100, and I broke those down separately today with deeper rationale behind the rankings. So take a gander at the list and see what you like. Number 1 is correct. Michigan, Ohio State.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure that's right. As long as I've been around college football, it's just been widely accepted that that's the best one. Especially now, and Scott mentioned the snapshot part. Those have all been pretty intriguing games, too.
Usually the most on the line each year.
Right. It's not just the fact that they're competitive. It's that they're usually really intriguing. You know, maybe Ohio State blows it. Maybe Michigan blows it, right? And it's right at the end of the year. It just makes perfect sense. Auburn, Alabama is number 2. Oklahoma, Texas is number 3, which Alabama, Auburn at 2 is sort of fascinating to me, considering Auburn is not a blue blood program.
Well, their coach is out golfing all the time. It's kind of a little brother situation. Mm-hmm. You don't see a lot of little brother situations go on here. With that being said, Alabama only leads Auburn in the series 51-37. Okay.
It's not like it's been all Alabama all the time. I mean, at the same time, Alabama has not always been the way that they have been for the last 20 years. So keep that in mind too. Oklahoma, Texas, Red River, number 3. Red River rivalry, I guess is what we're calling it. Army, Navy, 4. USC, Notre Dame, 5. Nebraska, Oklahoma, 6.
Whoa.
Shout out to the Boomers. Shout out to the Boomers.
Really?
Oklahoma, Nebraska at 6. Still. Oklahoma and Nebraska, since Nebraska left the conference, have played each other just the twice, right? Just the 2 times?
I was just trying to look that up.
2022 and 2021?
Yeah.
They last met in that Big 12 championship game in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say something about this rivalry. Every time we talk about this rivalry, people say the same thing over and over again. They say it's a rivalry built on respect.
That's right.
I have and then we'll say, no, actually it wasn't based on respect. It was based on, I hated them. And we have that whole conversation again. Can I throw this into the mix?
Ooh, yeah.
Once again, I am a younger guy. I'm 33. And so I want to put this in the proper light. But when I was growing up, Nebraska and Oklahoma was not an every year thing. And more so, I think, when I was growing up, Nebraska wasn't like a national championship contender every year when I came to really be aware of college football. And I think the first college football game that I really remember watching live is the 01 Nebraska-Oklahoma game, right?
Oh, good entry point.
That was a great entry point, but it never was that good again. So when they played each other in the 2010 Big 12 championship game, I was like, yeah, it'd be great for Nebraska to win this and then get out of this godforsaken conference. At least that's what I thought at the time. I was sorely mistaken on that, by the way. I didn't really think about it from the context of Oklahoma. When they played each other a couple years ago, I thought it was cool to see the helmets, considering Oklahoma's a blue blood program. I'm sure they thought it was cool to see the Nebraska helmets again. I thought it was cool to see those fan bases get to interact because they are generally like-minded and they live in the same neighborhood of college football, right? It's good to see eye to eye with somebody. I think Nebraska and Oklahoma as football programs throughout their histories have just generally seen eye to eye, which makes it so crazy and idiotic that Nebraska tried to get out of the series, but that's a different story. But for me, the 33-year-old, there's always been something missing from this one for me. I don't know what it is. I don't like, I think it's rooted somewhere in the idea that they didn't really play each other every year. Now, they played each other a lot. They played each other 04, 05, 06, 08, 09, and 10. But 2 of those were in Big 12 championship games. So you take 2 out and they weren't, they were in the Big 12 South. Like they weren't scheduled every year. It just depended on what you got from a schedule standpoint when the schedule flipped over. So when I was growing up, that's how I knew it. It wasn't an every year on Black Friday thing. And generally it was Nebraska trying to remain competitive in the game. I mean, we remember the time that they kicked that measly field goal at the end.
That's right.
Right? That's the way those games always felt. I do remember and love the 2009 Oklahoma game. 10-3. Nebraska didn't do anything, neither did Oklahoma. And then the 2010 Big 12 championship game. Those last 2 games weren't particularly memorable. The one in Norman was pretty good, ended up being pretty good at the end. The one in 22 was completely unmemorable because it was the week after Nebraska fired Scott Frost. And we were all talking about that. Oh, look, guess what? Oklahoma's here. That's kind of weird. I think it was also the game where just Gus Johnson got sick and left. Like Joe Klatt was, got sick, I guess was the story on that one. But anyway, it's a generational thing, obviously. But if you're asking me if this is a top 10 college football rivalry, and even from the Nebraska like prism, it's not. It's just simply not for me.
I have an appreciation for the rivalry as I'm a little older than you.
Yes.
The thing ain't burning. That thing ain't burning hot.
No, especially considering they're not in the same conference.
Like, yes, it produced some of the most famous games in the history of the sport, period. But, like, what you telling me Ohio State, Penn State ain't burning hotter right now? What else is just kind of behind this? Miami, Florida State? You telling me that thing ain't burning hotter than Nebraska, Oklahoma right now?
Yeah, I mean,
Alabama,
Josh,
LSU?
You bring up an interesting point. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't compare that game particularly to all of these other ones because, we're sort of in the Nebraska bubble and it's hard to tell how much hate there is with all these other schools. But I will say that the prism in which I see a lot of this through has completely changed, considering, yes, as I just mentioned with Nebraska and Oklahoma, everybody has moved conferences. It just, I don't know. We're going to go back-to-back old man segments here. It's not like it used to be. It's just not. The college football rivalries are just not the same. anymore. Now, if you would have told that to somebody walking into Memorial Stadium on September 7th of last year, you'd have been like, yeah, shove it. This feels like it did for a long, long time. But it was a one-off, and it was a special night, and all those things. And Nebraska played Colorado 3 other times in that series they've done over the last few years as well.
That rivalry appears at 33 on this list.
Yes,
just behind the Cy-Hawk game.
Unfortunately, Nebraska is kind of like, it's one of the things they lost when they left the when they left their conference. I mean, you're trying to continue to have relationships with these other schools, and you're also trying to build relationships with these new ones. And where you get left at is somewhere in the middle. Luckily for Oklahoma, Texas went with them, right?
Right.
Nobody went with Nebraska. Nebraska ventured out on their own, and naturally they have Iowa, which is good and growing and gets better and better seemingly by the year. And that rivalry is on here and should be on here. And I'm not saying Nebraska and Oklahoma shouldn't, but it's largely irrelevant. They don't play each other, and they're not in the same league, and they've played each other twice in the last 15 years. It's not relevant.
That's why you respect them. It's a tip of the hat to yesteryear. It's not.
Maybe you're right. I do respect them. It is a rivalry built on respect. That's what Hoof-Hearted says.
Hi, Hoof.
On the Equitable Bank inbox. The rivalry built on respect thing, he says, I think a lot of it is coming from people online. In the college football subreddit, whenever someone talks about Oklahoma-Nebraska games, fans of both teams are overwhelmingly complimentary of each other and talk about missing playing the game. Ohio State and Michigan, or Auburn versus Alabama, etc., has a lot more vitriol. Yeah. Or people are just nice. Maybe they're just nice too. Ranking college football rivalries. Yes. So Nebraska, Iowa came in at 44. Colorado, Nebraska came in at 33. And then Oklahoma, Nebraska came in at 6.
I'm scrolling through Scott's tweets.
Yes.
Just first of all, tire fire. Second of all,
I bet.
Both sides of the holy war have band together and are flooding Scott's mentions.
Did they not make the list?
It did. It's 28.
Whoa.
And they're like, this is too low. This is a catastrophe. And Scott's like, well, only twice has it been 2 ranked teams facing each other. Only Harvard, Yale is worse on this list.
Interesting, but a good sticking point. Does it have to, I feel like we're just jumping in a time machine to do part of this conversation, but does it have to mean a lot? Like, if we're talking about the number 1 rivalry in college football, of course it has to check all of the boxes. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Utah BYU is arguing that they should be the best. They're just arguing, hey, look, we hate each other the most. If you were doing exclusively who hates who the most, Utah BYU would be a lot higher. Don't you think?
Yes.
And for me, that's what I want the rivalry to be. That I would lean heavily into that category rather than what does it mean, when the season does it take place, how many, like, all this stuff factors into how much you hate each other. But there is like built-in stuff that you just can't control on the BYU Utah thing. Right. You can't do anything about that. And it doesn't matter what conference they're in, how good or bad they are. You know that they're going to be wearing those color uniforms. Fantastic. And that they're going to hate each other.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those that, like, your identity is wrapped in that
Yes.
that person on the other sideline,
you're blue or red,
is different than you.
Now,
number 99 on this list, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky.
I bet they hate each other.
They have to, right? Because nothing has ever been on the line in that game.
Yes.
Maybe they play for a trophy, but nothing significant's ever been on the line.
Also, check out number 94 on this list.
All of the MAC rivalries.
Every single MAC rivalry tied at 94. which that is a little disrespectful,
It is,
Scott.
It is.
A little
that feels like, okay, we gotta bake something into the cake.
Yeah, but who are you gonna pick? You gonna pick Eastern Michigan and Western Michigan, or Central Michigan and Western Michigan, or Ohio and Toledo, or what? They're all rivals.
Mm-hmm.
But those oftentimes end up being the best ones. Just a little,
It's a Tuesday night. You're both mad that you're playing on a Tuesday night,
but you're more just mad at each other.
Yeah,
I hate those guys. But and then you have to live with them. Yeah. That's what I think that's what I think Nebraska and Iowa makes it so cool. Because Iowa fans live here and Nebraska fans live there.
Mm-hmm.
I've always and those are two programs that, if we're talking about Oklahoma and Nebraska live in the same neighborhood. They are sort of neighbors in the college football world, right? They view the world the same way. Iowa and Nebraska, they view the world very differently. They are not in the same neighborhood. One has accomplished a lot. One has not accomplished a lot in terms of the trophies and the championships and all of those things. But then there's the recent success. There's the intermingling of the people in the States. There's the whole recruiting thing that's going on right now. And you play each other on Black Friday. This is modern day. This is Nebraska's biggest rival. I mean, if there was any doubt, I don't know how you could make an argument for anything else at this point. The Colorado series is over. Oklahoma's coming back on the schedule in a couple years. Obviously, there's sentimental value to all of those games, but Nebraska plays Iowa every year. All of those things still exist. Nebraska's Iowa's biggest rival. Iowa's Nebraska's biggest rival, I should say. I don't know what Iowa thinks. Iowa got 100 of them on here because they really like themselves. They did.
Oh, BYU guys mad at Oklahoma, Nebraska being sixth.
BYU guys mad. Interesting.
Yeah. Scott replies, Oklahoma, Nebraska has 18 games in which the teams were ranked in the top 10. BYU, Utah has 3 games in which both teams were ranked.
Okay, let me introduce you to something BYU guy. You ever heard of Game of the Century?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
in your dreams.
One guy replies, that is not all what makes a great rivalry.
Correct.
You actually do not watch football.
But this is why this is a good list.
Mm-hmm.
Many clicks, Josh.
Yes, so many clicks. Scott's bosses are going to be very happy with him.
There's going to be so many clicks. All right, we'll come back. More up next on the Conner Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. All right. So here's my yearly PSA on soccer.
Okay.
So I see people.
Love this.
Sorry, the Kanye thing kind of threw me off. I forgot I made these.
Look, man, I just pulled the ones we had.
We are allowed to play Kanye and some of the lyrics when they're good.
When the lyrics are good or when Kanye's good?
When the lyrics are good.
Okay. Good to know.
Not when Kanye is good, because if we were only allowed to play Kanye when Kanye was good, we'd never play Kanye.
Okay.
Which is what the NCAA has decided.
That's what they want you to think.
Right. So there's a lot of Kanye in here, actually, now that I look at it.
There's a lot, yes.
That's pretty cool. Soccer. All right, so we suck. I'm told again. Josh, is this what you have been led to believe yet again, that USA soccer is bad?
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
All right. So keep in mind that I come into this with only an overarching knowledge about what is going on. But here's what I could tell you from my 40,000 foot view.
Okay.
We suck. We have never been good. And people keep yelling about how we're not going to be good. And I keep telling you, yeah, we're not going to do anything at the World Cup. They're like, I can't believe it. We don't have a coach. We don't have any players. We lose to Mexico. Other countries are doing all of these great things, but yet we continue to suck. That's right, Josh. It's going to keep happening for the rest of time.
The rest of time?
Yes, USA soccer will never be good.
I was told 30 years ago that the U.S. was finally going to get good at soccer.
30 years ago, they in 1994, they did make the round of 16.
Oh,
that was the last time they hosted the World Cup. All right,
I was told that David Beckham coming over to America would create an entire generation of soccer fans who would grow up and win us a World Cup.
Charles says, here's another thing that I kept hearing last night. We sent the B squad. Where's the A squad, and why do they suck too?
Yeah, this is something else that I heard, that Christian Pulisic didn't play because he wanted he load managemented the Gold Cup final.
Great idea. Great idea. We don't have any good players, so we can't be good. That's how this works. I just need everyone to understand that, hear that, and maybe say it back.
Never gonna happen.
We can't be good because we don't have any good players.
Okay.
We thought maybe there was a chance that there was gonna be some good players. We thought we might have this one guy. He might be kind of a good player.
Remember Freddie Adu?
If we ever make a run in the World Cup, it is out of sheer luck. I'm dead. And I love America. I love America. And I would love nothing more than America to succeed at the soccer, because it would be so funny if we were good at soccer and beat all the other countries that care generationally and massively about soccer. But therein lies the key, Josh. We do not care generationally or en masse.
I'd like to read you quotes from top soccer analyst Alexi Lawless. This from 3 weeks ago, and then I have one from last night.
Oh, good. Alexi Lawless. We can hear from him again.
Maybe our best route is to actually be more exclusive when making the roster.
Oh.
Like, hey, what if we had more white guys? Or
Americans. I see.
Then last night, this is Alexi Lawless. Quote, when the World Cup is here, we may look back on this and point to individual players or moments or a collective identity that shows up and then say, this was where the seeds were planted. That's kind of a big turnaround for 3 weeks.
So here's what's going to happen. We made the World Cup. Nice job by us. I don't need to talk about who gets in as a host, whatever. We made it. Congratulations to us. That's what Alex and Lincoln said before.
Alexi Lawless said that last night while wearing a massive cowboy hat.
I saw that whole cowboy hat thing. He said, how are we not good if we made it into the World Cup? All right. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to make the World Cup.
Check.
We're going to get put in the group of death because that's what happens every single time. We see the groups come out. We know nothing about international soccer, and we say, oh my God, we're in the group of death.
Well,
we are going to die.
When you suck, every group is the group of death.
Precisely, Josh.
Oh, okay.
And then they will not make it out of the group stage, and Alexi Lawless will go on TV, and he'll borderline cry about how the United States is not good at soccer, but everyone cares a lot, I promise. And then we will move on with our lives again. And Brazil or somebody will win the World Cup.
Oh, imagine that.
Germany, anybody else.
Argentina,
they're always pretty good. It won't be us. It will not be us. That's
interesting.
That's your next several months in soccer.
Can I get a future on American soccer?
Soccer not winning the World Cup?
Not the Club World Cup. That's not a real thing, okay?
No, I want the real World Cup.
No, not yet.
That's where the A squad players were playing?
Yeah.
That's what Travis is saying?
Yeah.
Why were they playing with the Club World Cup?
Because it's this new World Cup that they started, and
they're going to start their own World Cup?
They started with the
Shocking.
teams.
Shocking. You know what? That's actually probably right. That's where this is going to end up. USA is going to decide to throw in the towel, and they're going to say, we're done with this. We're going to create our own World Cup. Please join us. And
an American World Cup.
Yeah, it'll be like the Live World Cup.
Isn't that just MLS?
Kind of.
That tournament
but it's not only Americans. Like other countries can come, but they can't be good. We rig it our way or something like that.
That's the American way.
Chris writes in.
Rig the system. Hi, Chris.
Poll question. Do you care about the World Cup?
Ooh. We do need some.
I would like to say that I care about the World Cup. I would love for America to win the World Cup, and I like to watch the World Cup even when America is not in the World Cup. I will watch the soccer games. I think that the World Cup is an excellent event. I just want people to really, truly hear me and understand. Do not start dreaming about America being good at soccer. We generationally stink at soccer.
Oh, yeah.
We can't be good. This is just one of the facts of life.
Freddie Adu is 36 years old.
You mentioned Freddie Adu. I'm like, that was like 2004.
He's 36.
That was a long time ago, Josh.
He was the guy that was like 15, and they were like, he's going to change American soccer.
I remember. Jason writes in.
Hi, Jason.
Connor getting those clicks. No, this is not for clicks. This is for your own safety.
Now, he did need to wait until after the 4th of July to reveal this take to all of you.
No, because people started talking about soccer last night. And they're going to, I'm sure they'll do 4 more friendlies that they'll lose. Or maybe they'll score a couple goals and one of them will be like, hang on, we might have something here. But no, don't expect anything. You'll just be disappointed.
I think so.
Yep. So there's your World Cup preview for next summer.
Good preview. God, that's still a whole nother year away.
Josh, did you check out Thomas Fidoni's garage sale over the weekend?
Shh. I'm supposed to talk about him.
No, he doesn't shush everything. That's not. He doesn't go around to shush just random people on the street. He wants to give away all of his or sell all of his Husker gear. Because he's moving to a small apartment in New York City and he can't have it all.
Oh, yeah, you can't have things.
Can't have
possessions.
Things. Remember, Gen Z, they don't have very much money.
That's right.
They can't
never be able to afford anything.
Yes.
No,
he's in micro retirement right now.
How'd that go?
I don't know. I saw a couple local news stories on it, and it looked like that he sold all the stuff that he wanted to sell. So that's good.
I'll bet they were totally normal people that showed up to his house and were like, hey.
So this is the new do you get offended when the former Huskers do garage sales?
No, not at all.
But one might think, hey, I want Nebraska to leave an indelible mark on these people. I want them to take Nebraska with them wherever they go. How could they do that if they're selling their junk?
Maybe they kept some junk. Maybe they kept the good junk and are selling the bad junk.
Maybe they kept some junk.
I mean,
I can only hope that Thomas Fidoni kept some junk.
The sheer percentage of players that play at the University of Nebraska and go on to like not 100% are gonna love it and like sis boom ba rah 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 like the university.
Some view selling stuff at a garage sale as ridding yourself of your time as a Husker.
Those same people were sleeping in Thomas Fidoni's yard to get a first crack at his stuff.
Hey, I'll tell you what, there has never been a better time to buy stuff.
Okay, that's
Poll question. There has never been a better time to buy stuff. Husker gear, there's garage sales, it seems like every 10 seconds. Remember Adrian Martinez's garage sale?
I do.
By the way, congratulations to Adrian, the newlywed, Adrian Martinez.
Oh, mazel.
Yes. And there was the Husker Day garage sale. And
yeah. How could Thomas Fidoni do this to Nebraska when Nebraska's doing it to Nebraska?
Interesting. No, I don't know what the common sentiment is, but it was the big thing over the weekend. Shout out to the Fidoni and shout out to that new apartment. And we'll have to get an inside tour because I want to see what's on those walls. Are there any Husker gear on the walls?
Oh.
If there's not, we might have a problem.
What one thing do you want to see on that wall?
I want to see a Fidoni 24 jersey.
You want a jersey hanging on the wall?
I want the picture of him shushing the crowd.
Ooh. Autographed by Josh Peterson.
Maybe some gloves or something. Andrew writes in on Twitter, hey, if you want to have a good time watching the U.S. World Cup matches, go to Barrett's.
Yes, I've watched a World Cup game there before.
They're the Omaha branch of the American Outlaws. Mm-hmm. You should do your show there for the first U.S. game. Hey, we'll at least have that to do next summer. That'll be really exciting.
Yeah.
You guys can talk about the World Cup during the College World Series.
The last World Cup, we had fun watching it here in studio.
2022. Yeah, I would have worked here.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember anything about it.
I made some graphics. It was fun.
That's something to look forward to. All right, we'll come back with the Pulse. We'll tell you what to watch next on 1620 The Zone.
Upon further review, the host's last statement was deemed to be somewhat comical. Somewhat. The Connor Happer Show returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, neighbor. Oh, my gosh. Is your energy bill sky high again? When is it going to end?
Not anymore. My old windows were so drafty it felt like I had one open all the time. So I upgraded to Champion Windows.
Champion Windows? Are they really that good?
Whew, they're fantastic. Energy efficient, super durable, and backed by a lifetime guarantee. And right now, it's Champion's anniversary sale. They're celebrating over 72 years with 40% off new windows.
Wait, 40% off? That's a serious deal.
I know. I just went online and booked a free estimate. So easy.
So if I need windows and act now, I can save 40%?
Yep, but you gotta hurry.
Call 877-GO-CHAMPION or visit ChampionSaveNow.com to schedule your free estimate. Champion's 40% off anniversary sale won't last long. Call 877-GO-CHAMPION or visit ChampionSaveNow.com. All discounts apply to our regular prices. Select styles apply. Minimum purchase required. Cannot be combined with other advertised offers. See store or website for details.
All right. The polls. We're running a little bit late. Sorry. Do you like an onion game? Yes or no?
I do.
That one has lyrics, Josh.
It does.
See, this is the thing. I don't remember at all what I did. Do you like an onion game? This was in reference to Connor Onion, who is apparently Matt McMaster's boy. I don't know Connor.
He's got a lot of boys. You should. You're both named Connor.
That's true. I should meet him next time I see him at something. Do you like an onion game? Sure. Yeah. 56% say no. They do not like an onion game. A lot of hate. Do you care about the World Cup? Yes, I care about the World Cup. And more important question, how do you say it? The World Cup or the World Cup?
The World Cup.
The World Cup. How do you say Melissa Joan Hart? Do you say Melissa Joan Hart or Melissa Joan Hart?
Melissa Joan Hart.
That's different. I say Melissa Joan Hart. Emphasis is important, Josh.
What does that say about me?
I don't know.
Okay.
50-50. Do you care about the World Cup at this point? And finally, has there ever been a better time to buy stuff?
No, there hasn't.
No. 67% say no. Wow. Although it is early on that one. Josh, what are we watching tonight?
We're going to watch some baseball on our TVs. FS1 540. The Tigers host the Rays.
All right.
Did I do anything for you?
Yeah, I like it. I like some Tigers baseball.
America's team is on MLB Network at 8:40. The Diamondbacks are in San Diego to take on the Padres. Phillies Giants at that same time. It's your MLB TV free game of the day. Summer League is starting tonight.
Oh, that's good.
Thunder Sixers at 6 on ESPN.
When do my Hornets play?
Not today. It seems like it might be Friday until they play. Grizzlies Jazz 8 o'clock tonight on NBA TV. Wimbledon 4th round going on right now. Iga Swiatek is playing right now. She's up a set.
Way to go, Iga.
Nailed that one. Quarterfinals tomorrow morning. All of that action on ESPN.
Our boy Sinner, number 1.
Great movie. I watched it again this weekend.
He's losing. Every time I watch this guy, he loses. Seriously.
Okay.
He lost to Mr. Alcaraz, and now he's losing to Dimitrov.
Well, it's the pressure of having a dual box here, and in the other box is a live interview with Novak Djokovic.
Yeah.
It's intimidating.
Very cool.
On ABC tonight at 7 o'clock and lasting for 3 hours is the season 10 premiere of Bachelor in Paradise.
Nice.
Franchise standouts and fan favorites, including some from The Golden Bachelor, get another shot at finding love.
My wife is kind of falling off the Bachelor wagon a little bit lately, but she might dabble here.
Okay. History Channel tonight at 7 o'clock. Jim Thorpe, Lit by Lightning.
Whoa.
The documentary chronicles the life of one of the greatest and most versatile athletes of modern sports, the United States' first indigenous Olympic gold medalist.
That's cool.
And tonight, much lighter fare on AMC at 7 o'clock, Armageddon.
Nice. Much lighter.
Yes.
What's the song that's attached with that?
I Don't Want to Miss a Thing from Aerosmith.
Man, that rules.
That was. It's their only number 1 song, believe it or not.
Josh, thank you.
Thank you, Connor.
That's what we're watching tonight. That's the show. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is next.